Roll call.
Mayor Jones,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vixen,
Here.
Council Members Closser,
Here.
Hauser,
Here.
King, Sung,
Here.
Track.
Here.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is Mike Weber here? He is. Come on up. Senator Weber,
All right.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Jones and City Council. Michael Weber here to give a quick legislative update here for the spring. As you know, served District 9, which includes Rochester, Rochester Hills, Troy, Sterling Heights, Shelby Township, and Utica. Appreciate the opportunity to do these a couple of times a year. So thank you for having me. Get into it. Our state budget, both the House and the Senate have passed their first budgets, which a little bit quicker than we did last year. We did it towards the end of April. But like families all over Michigan, we have to live within our means. And frankly, the state budget outlook is mixed, and so lawmakers are currently kind of working through that. And I'm still hopeful that it'll get done by July 1st, although there's starting to be some outlook that maybe it'll go beyond that a little bit. So I'll keep you posted on that. In terms of budget projects, continue, not only worked with, but continue to work with Rep. Tisdale on the Rochester Community House project. Of course, we were able to get $2 million for that project. Also, $175,000 to continue the Common Ground Victim Assistance Program, which provides crisis intervention, long-term support for victims of crime in Oakland County, and we'll continue to work on projects this year. I know we've been in communication with the city manager on potential projects to put forward, and we're working through that. In terms of revenue sharing and roads, the governor's budget proposal didn't include any increase in terms of statutory revenue sharing, but the constitutional revenue sharing does decrease a little bit because the sales tax no longer at the gasoline pump. But because of the bipartisan road funding deal, Rochester is expected to receive over $500 million more in road funding than they have in prior years, so that's a 33% increase, and of course that's ongoing every year moving forward. In terms of revenue sharing trust fund, I'm happy to have reintroduced that legislation in the Senate, and as you know, it's a bipartisan bill package that would protect cuts to statutory revenue sharing and offer budget stability for local governments. I'm proud to report unanimous support of the package through the Senate, and is now over in the House, where it in the past session received very broad bipartisan support. So hopefully it'll be part of this budget negotiation, and I know the Senate majority is working to try to make that the case. But it's an idea that's been kicked around for a number of years, and I think its time has come, especially with some of the instability in terms of our funding for municipalities. Real quick on noise pollution, continue to work on legislation along with Rep. Robinson from Utica on trying to have a mechanism within the MDOT budget to fund sound walls at the state level. We think it would work as similar to other states that do it, that we would put some money into it, and then it would be a grant program with the counties, with the cities, that kind of thing. As you know, a lot of the sound walls are funded through federal dollars when they're doing projects along the interstates. Of course, I represent communities that have I-75, M59, and M53, and the toll on increased noise pollution obviously affects quality of life. One of the major things I've been able to work on during this first term in the Senate is money for the sound wall on I-75 for Troy, But notice that when we did that, obviously it's not a sustainable model to like kind of fight for this one-off appropriation every, few years. And there's been other legislators on both sides of the aisle that have done this. So trying to come up with a more stable mechanism, I think, is the right way to go. The bill in the House, Rep. Robinson's bill, did pass out of the Transportation Committee, so we're hopeful that idea will get pick up some steam. And then lastly, and I know you've heard and read a lot about it, the state preemption bills as it relates to housing. The Michigan House so far has been the only chamber that has these bills introduced, a bipartisan legislative package that I'm opposed to. It would strip local governments of their decision-making authority on housing matters. We think, obviously, we have to have a sense of urgency in the state in terms of addressing our housing shortage and making homes affordable, but state mandates kind of oversimplify the issue. There is a competing proposal also in the Michigan House that Rep. Tisdale and Rep. Steckloff have introduced that would accelerate housing construction and rehabilitation, and that has been promoted and supported by the Michigan Municipal League. So as a MML, Michigan Municipal League Caucus, we are working towards promoting that package and other good ideas as there's further discussion about these bills at the legislative level. Lastly, for residents here and at home, for more information or to sign up for our monthly e-news, please visit senatormichaelweber.com or call our office 517-373-0994. That's the update.
Thank you for being opposed to that bill. That's the House of Reps. We appreciate that. Any questions, anyone? Councilmember Trent.
Yes, where does this property tax bill land? Because I was learning about it today through MML Live, and they were speaking of the property tax bill. If you end all property tax, there's got a $5 billion deficit of there is really no, that they know of any remedy for where do we get, and then what services, and it starts getting complicated. So you know more than I do about this.
So it did pass the House, and it's now in the Senate. I think from what I've read, it is, the Speaker hopes to bring it up as part of some sort of compromise on the budget, but that's really all that I know. I mean, it's not, I think it would be something, whatever it happens with it, that you'd have to try to replace, revenue, and those are the discussions that would have to be made during the budget process. So that's kind of where it's at.
So do you have a stand on it? Are you still learning? Like what?
Well, certainly, we're all hearing about, potential property tax relief and different things like that. But I think I'd want to know what we're going to do to replace some of that. Obviously, one of the original comments was about doing something with sales tax on services.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of business owners have also reached out to us that, that was tried and it kind of came and went very quickly during Governor Granholm's time, and a lot of that is obviously business-to-business transactions, which is harmful in terms of our business climate. I think it would push a lot of business that could do business over the Ohio border, over the Indiana border, et cetera. So it really it's a question of how would that be replaced? I think everybody's looking at higher property taxes and want to see relief, but how could we do that in a responsible way? So that's what we're trying to work through during this budget process. So.
Okay, one more question. So are there any good affordable housing policies or ideas that are happening that would stand out as a way to not just more construction, because more construction in Rochester doesn't make it affordable. So more construction I don't find as I think there needs to be more housing, but I really do believe it. I mean, affordable today isn't like it was years ago.
Yeah, I think, everybody's showing kind of a sense of urgency on it, but I don't have anything off the top of my head that I've seen that is the silver bullet that's going to achieve that. I think it's just hopefully it creates some brainstorming and some looking maybe at what other states have done and different things like that. And frankly, ultimately is a local decision. There's some communities that are fairly built out. There's other communities that are still building and growing and that kind of thing. And so I think that's where you may see potentially more housing down the road.
Well, it usually is with the developer, and I get it, I'm a business owner, wants to maximize profit, so there's got to be some sort of, something coming from the state that would help remedy this. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Anyone else? Thank you.
All right. Hey,
We
thank
appreciate
you.
you being here. Okay, so we are lucky tonight. We also have our Oakland County Commissioner here. If he would come all up, Michael Spites, right? Spiz. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you very
Yes.
much, Mayor Jones and City Council. Glad to be here. Mayor Jones had emailed or texted me a couple topics that you guys would hear about or want to hear about. Both of them are new buildings. I'll start off with the new county building in the city of Pontiac. The $450 million investment that the county's making that I have not supported since day one, just for the record. That one is being, they haven't gone out for bonds yet, but they will be going out for bonds probably next year. It will not cost taxpayers any additional funds. Reason being is that some of the previous bonds that the county has put out there come off the books next year. So they'll put another bond in place of those bonds. So the taxpayers in this county don't get to save any money, they would just stay flat to help support that facility. All right. I'll take questions on that if you want to do that before this. So,
Why don't we do, because you're going to talk about the water building also.
Yes.
Why don't you just do both and
Do
then
both,
we'll,
okay.
then we'll, yeah.
the next project that's on the docket has not been approved, has not come in front of the Board of Commissioners for a vote yet. It's a $154 million new building for the Water Resource Commissioner. They have multiple buildings around the county, so it's a opportunity for them to consolidate into one location. Ultimately, do I agree they need to probably do that? Yes. Is now the right time? No, I do not support it. We already are spending, like I said, $450 million on a building in Pontiac, actually multiple buildings in Pontiac. Why would we go out and fund $154 million again for another building right on the campus in Oakland County, right? We are vacating some buildings in Oakland County, right? And we do have a hybrid work schedule, so there are multiple buildings that are not fully utilized today. So from a Board of Commissioners perspective, there is some debate and some discussion about is now the right time. From my perspective, it is not the right time. And there are many on both sides of the aisle that do not agree it's the right time. So right now, I do not believe they have the votes to get it done or go out for a bond this year. That being said, I do believe it's coming. It's just when.
For both buildings.
For both buildings, yeah. But the one for the Water Resource Commissioner will be funded by the water users, not by all the taxpayers in the county, just the water users on those systems.
People who don't use water.
Who doesn't use water?
I know, but some like,
Get it from.
I live on a well, so I don't have to
Oh,
pay.
Yeah,
I
right.
see, okay.
So anybody that
Yeah.
uses the water systems through GLEWA, et cetera, will
I
have to
see.
support, or anybody that is under contract with the Water Resource Commissioner for something else. There are some villages and townships that use the Water Resource Commissioner to manage their systems, right? But they don't get water from GLEWA.
Yeah, I
Okay,
get
okay,
you, thank
okay.
you.
You're
That makes sense.
Before we ask questions about building, is there anything else that would be beneficial for the residents to know that the commissioners are working on?
There's a couple policies and procedures that are being discussed right now. Throughout the county there's a drone policy that if you've probably heard in the news, a lot of discussion about drones going around. We're working on a policy to help create some guidelines around drones. The sheriff's department in the county does have a drone policy, but we're looking at other departments within the county. What is the policy for them to use a drone for whatever reason? There is a lot of public outcry that we see at the Board of Commissioners, almost every meeting relative to drone surveillance. You may have heard of flock. You guys may
Yeah.
have had people here talking about flock, so that those two kind of go
Yeah.
hand in hand to a degree. So there are some discussions about creating a policy for that, which I believe will happen, right? It's just probably not for the next couple of months before that policy comes out.
Yeah, we had quite a discussion about flood. Questions, council members? Yeah. I mean, I think because you said you were not supporting either of those buildings, you just cut off about 20 minutes of chatter, probably. Questions, I should say.
I mean,
So we
I'm just-
support that for now. I know you said,
yeah,
I think,
I
I don't know that we were opposed, correct me if I'm wrong, at least what my thoughts, as far as the water building, that was most of our discussion.
Understand.
Because they came and presented to us. And they rolled out the price that it would be per resident. It was more the cost of the building. I think there was a pretty good sales pitch on the need for the building, but we were all sort of like, how much? is that? So I think coming down the line, when you do look at it again, I think that would be one of our biggest issues.
And I can understand.
But anyone else, council members can, yeah. Councilmember Trent.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, like you said, they're vacating buildings to move into Pontiac.
Correct.
So do they have any ideas for usage for those buildings? And I'm sure they explored, putting the water creating this water building, whatever you call it, water department building.
Water Resource Commissioner
Yeah,
facility,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's a really long one.
Yeah. They have looked at that, but everything they've looked at, they say it doesn't meet their needs. It's actually cheaper to build new, according
Okay.
to what they're saying.
I see.
Because when the county executive moves down to the city of Pontiac, they vacate the current L. Brooks Patterson building. That will become vacant.
But they're
So
gonna
one of
do
the questions
anything?
is to sell it, but the rumor on the street is they're not getting the offers at the level that they believe they should get for that facility. I think it's somewhere around $5 to $6 million. And just to put reference to that, they bought the buildings in the city of Pontiac that were dilapidated for 19.2 billion, or 2 million. So they're trying to weigh those out.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions? Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Any questions, give me a call anytime. I'll be happy to answer them at that time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to a recognition of Chasing Fireflies anniversary. April McCrumb, please come up. I'm going to read this.
Thank you for having me, Mayor Jones.
Of course. I will read this, and then if you want to add anything afterwards. Congratulations. We are honored to recognize Chasing Fireflies as it celebrates 20 years of bringing, chasing. I've been chasing fireflies.
It's all good. It's all the
Catching
same vibe.
fireflies,
It's all
thank you. As it celebrates 20 years of bringing joy and inspiration to downtown Rochester. Since opening in Rochester in 2006, Catching Fireflies has grown from its home in the historic train depot to its current location on Main Street, becoming a beloved downtown destination. More than a gift gallery, Catching Fireflies has built its reputation around creating moments of delight and wonder. The very name, Catching Fireflies, reflects the spirit that has guided the business for 2 decades. A reminder of the carefree joy of childhood, the simple pleasures that brighten our days, and the importance of slowing down to appreciate the blessings that surround us. As a locally owned small business, Catching Fireflies exemplifies the creativity, passion, and entrepreneurial spirit that help make downtown Rochester a vibrant and thriving community. Their success over the past 20 years reflects their deep commitment to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Do
We
you
wouldn't be
wanna-
able to celebrate this anniversary without a supportive community like Rochester, and we love being downtown, just part of the whole mix of lovely businesses down there in the community. It's just been a wonderful place to grow our business.
Well, we love you, and we love that you're on Main Street. We love the other
Yeah.
location, but we love you
No,
on
we love
Main
it
Street.
too.
So, thank you, and we're going to take a little photo op if someone can stand.
I'll get it.
I'm going to have Christy come up too, because obviously Christy is very involved in all of this, so. We'll do it right up
Okay.
front here, I guess, somewhere in front of the seal. Oh, we are so fancy.
We have a taser on you, don't know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
and
appreciate it.
congratulations
Thank you,
again.
thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you. Bye. All right. Now we have any other public comment for anything that is not on the agenda. Step on up.
Did we give Meg Green?
My green?
Oh, he has COVID.
He has COVID. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was on the agenda. My
too
green
sick
was
to
coming.
make it.
I scratched
He
it
let
off.
us know.
Forgot to tell everybody. Hi. State your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Paul Putz. I live on 316 Ferndale.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. Just a question, the bridge that's the new bridge build on Paint Creek there, is the construction complete? 100% complete? will it continue to stay on the scrap 2x6? The entire building is resting on 2x6 scrap wood.
Do you know what he's talking about?
I mean, usually this is just a comment section, so if you want to tell your concern rather.
sorry. Well,
No, that's okay.
I'm
And then they can follow up and get back to
Okay,
you.
perfect. I'm sorry. Pardon
No,
me.
no, it's fine.
I was curious if it was done.
Yeah.
It seems like it shouldn't be, because it shouldn't be sitting on those wood
Yes.
blocks, number one. And number two, I was curious, the bridge itself, although it's constructed in pieces that are bolted together, largely considered a static unit, because it's one piece bolted together. It doesn't seem to me like you've taken into account thermal expansion and contraction for that large piece. There's very small dimension between the end of the bridge, the two ends of the bridge, and the pylon, or the footings by which they sit.
Do you want to respond? Okay, city manager.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you get in touch with my DPW director. He's sitting right there, Nick Schaefer. Exchange emails or phone numbers so he can, I guarantee that's engineered to the max. So, there's a lot of hands that were on there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, which
Yeah.
was really surprising to me, that it's sitting on
Yeah,
scrap wood.
It's not, so, but
Well,
Nick
it
can
is.
work with you, but
If you
the
go
whole
look
bridge
under-
can't, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, and follow up with Nick Schaefer. Anyone else? Okay, we are going to move along for approval of the consent agenda, which is consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 26, 2026, and the receipt of the check registered. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem makes a motion to approve and support.
Those support.
Councilmember Trent. Roll call, please.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Closser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
All right, we have no old business. We do have a public hearing that was scheduled for tonight. If the petitioner will come up, this is a public hearing regarding a request to vacate Scott Street.
Do you want this in now?
Thanks. Good afternoon, Mayor Jones, and also members of the council, Mr. Banda and Jeff, great, and yourself, the clerk. My name is Patrick Seaforth. We spoke a little bit before. Betty Tomlins is my new neighbor. I think the council certainly knows, why we're here. I guess I would defer to the mayor and the council. There are some folks that I know Betty has spoken with that are neighbors that had some input into what we have proposed with regard to making that area look better, and also the vacation with the easement. I don't know if the council would rather hear from those folks first, or we do have a very short overview of what the plan is, because there was some questions, and I wanted to, with Betty, try to address those questions. So I defer to.
Yeah, usually we would have the petitioner present,
Okay.
and then you would sit down, and then we will take public comment one by one.
Fair enough.
Sound good?
That sounds great.
Awesome.
All right, so I'll just go through it, pretty quickly. Obviously, this is the area on Scott Street. In terms of a background for those who are here, Betty is here and also a very long-term resident of the city. She's at 1305 North Oak. I think 1975 is when.
1972.
72, so I got that wrong. Is when she moved in. And when she moved into the home, and she can get into this more, she told me that the street was cared for, it was regularly graded, dust was controlled, and there was plowing that was done on the street. Maintenance is what she told me had declined over the years, and she can speak to that. and described that the maintenance today is much different. In terms of myself, there were some questions a little bit about whether, we would intend to live there and things of that nature. I don't want to spend a lot of time, but my wife Sandy is here. We have 5 kids. We live in Stony Creek Ridge. We have lived in Rochester for over 25 years. We're very involved in the community. I'm part of New Day organization. Sam Smile is another organization that we participate in. Have given to many charities, including the schools, and I serve on the board of Holy Family Regional Schools as well. We aren't going anywhere. We're very involved in this community, and our goal is to make it better. Now that our kids are mainly gone, not all of them, but we have a college student who returned, we purchased a spec home. It was designed by Oak Street Design, and Jenna Campbell is the leader of that organization, and it was set up and described, but before we did anything to it. We bought it last year, and the home is largely done on the outside and being finished on the inside. Over the past 10 to 15 years, Betty described a lot of things at the property that were frustrating to her. I won't speak to her. I'll let her describe it more in terms of the road conditions and how they've changed. And maybe, Betty, you want to just tell the council that.
Well, when my husband and I first moved in there, we thought the maintenance on the road was wonderful. They got plowed in the wintertime, it got graded in the springtime when needed, and in the summertime, if it was dry and dusty and hot, they put chlorine out. I would say it's been close to 30 years since we've had any grading or chlorine, and although they do plow, I had to call twice this past winter when there was 5 or 6 inches, and I needed to get out for an appointment. I had to call them. I mean, they go up and down North Oak dozens of times, it seems, when the whole neighborhood has already been plowed, and yet they make no move to come in and do Scott Street. I don't quite understand that, but it's like I got lost in the shuffle, so to speak. And that's a little frustrating when you can't get out for an appointment, and there's 5 or 6 inches of snow. Come on.
So this is how the property looks last week. It can, pretty much, that's the house that is being built on, and that's the garage that we will ultimately have, and both will be accessed, Betty's garage and our garage, off of the Scott Street. And that's the area where Betty's house is right now, and it is the fence that she has abuts her line. In terms of our involvement, there was some discussion about this, and I think it's important that the council understand how this came about, because we certainly were not looking to take or get property or anything of that nature. We purchased this lot back in 2025 along with the house. We met with Betty and got a background and understanding because we didn't know about that. We learned about the history and spent time going over it, and shared concerns regarding the condition of the roadway as Betty described to you now, and we began to explore ways as to what we could do about that. And when we did that, we had a number of meetings beginning in the first part of this year. In February of 2026, Mr. Bandit was great. He listened to me. We had to set up a meeting. We discussed possible ways. I talked about potentially just improving the land as it existed, and it's my understanding, based on the way the charter is set up, is you can't do that. And so he advised, and I won't speak for him, to look at different solutions, and he provided great direction, including us to meet with the staff of the city, and that included Mr. Schaefer, who is here. The city engineer was part of that. The city lawyer, Mr. Crete, was here, and others, including Betty. And we went over what should be done. Ironically, at DPW, you can see the lot right there. And so we were actually going through it. And the discussions were that they would need, utility easements that would have to be done. There were some discussions about, would there be buildings on that lot or something like that. And it's been very clear that that would not be the case. Betty and I, talked about with my wife that we would want public access because people use that to get to the park, and it was our idea and our vision to make this part of the the park in terms of the pathway and lining up and things of that way, so that it actually expands into the forest, into the park. We obviously had the meeting here back in May. I think a public notice was done. We've spoken to people. Betty certainly knows more people than I do, and everybody that we've talked to is weighed in very heavily. Some of those folks are here. I think some have sent letters. I don't know. And then today we're at the public hearing. In terms of the possible solutions, that just to get into the weeds of the meeting that we had, we evaluated options. We tried to review all the proposed adjustments that would be made. Jeff did a great job, Mr. Craig, of leading us through that. We developed a beautification plan that we thought would be very helpful. We were told that there would be additional taxes to Betty and myself and my wife, and we accepted that and understood the ramifications of paying those taxes. And then we jointly signed and submitted all requested materials in accordance with the discussions that we had with the group representing the city. There was some discussion about whether this was sort of a first-time deal. I'll let Betty talk about that, but we, brought in Ron to help us out. It's my understanding that there have been multiple vacations of portions of properties that abut and have like a shared driveway. And when Betty was speaking to one of her neighbors the other day, it's my understanding that just around the corner, a substantial portion just south of Oak had been vacated so that there could be improvement of the alley. Is it at Pine Street, Betty?
The alley runs parallel to Woodward Street. The alley runs behind the homes that up front Woodward Street, and it starts behind the gas station at Main Street and runs 2 blocks west. And it's my understanding that that was vacated by the city a number of years ago, and the property that affected the residents that lived along the alley was given to them.
And I would defer to Ron, because Ron, who obviously is here and knowledgeable about more of these ownership issues, I asked him to look at it because I wondered if this was something unique or had never been done before. And he did some research and procured, some of these properties that are before you today.
Yeah, what I did is I looked at Oakland County Public Records, and I found those 10 properties right there. And each one of those legal descriptions for those properties also include half of a vacated public alley. And I have 10 listed right there, but there could be probably another 50 to 100 that I could have listed. So this is not new. This is something the city has done in the past, vacating alleys. Since I'm up here, I know there was some questions last week or a couple weeks ago when we were here regarding the easement. I just want to make everybody rest assured that the public interest will be protected. I mean, there's going to be various easements on this property here that we're asking the Scott Road Department that's being vacated. There's going to be a water main easement, there's going to be utility easements, and there's going to be a sidewalk easement. And these easements are permanent, they're perpetual. They're going to be around when we're all dead. These easements will still be there. I mean, it's just like the sidewalk in front of your house. I mean, there's an easement there for that sidewalk. I mean, you can't move that sidewalk, you can't block that sidewalk, you can't build over that sidewalk, you can't change anything about that sidewalk. This is going to be the same thing here. We're going to have a water main easement, a utility easement, and we're going to have a pedestrian sidewalk easement for pedestrians and bicycle usage. Those easements cannot be changed. If the property is sold, the next person inherits those easements. I suppose the only way those easements could be changed is if the city agrees to the change, and that's something the city has to decide on. But so there are going to be various easements here, and another thing I wanted to bring up too, it's my understanding that the cost for the road, if the city decided to improve it, is north of $120,000. And here, this is a win-win situation. We have people that are willing to absorb that cost, taxpayers will have to pay for it, and then tax revenues will go up. So, in my opinion, this is a win-win for everybody.
And so, and if you go through some of these properties, and we just walked around over the weekend and looked at the Pine area that Betty had told me about, basically the same things have been done. There's shared driveways with a proper blocking of the alley so that you can't drive through there, and that's essentially what we had proposed in conjunction with meeting with the city folks as well as Mr. Craig. So the proposed solution, at least it's the goal, to improve physical appearances and functionality. We want to address very long-standing maintenance issues. It's just simply not fair that Ms. Tomlin's, for 50 years, has lived at that property, and now, over the last decade plus, her access is degraded. Obviously, the preservation of the public utility is critical because, you got to get to things, but also support and continued and better access to the park would be part of this plan. And of course, transferring stewardship to adjacent property owners would also work towards the beautification of the property because, we're building a new house. Betty's house is in perfect condition. The goal is to have a beautiful solution that is a win-win for everyone without city taxpayer cost. This is what it looks like now. And our goal would be to do essentially this. This is what is written up in the proposal with regard to the easement. This is a shared driveway. It would be in conjunction with myself and Ms. Tomlins. Betty had advised when we met with Nick and the others, Nick Schaefer, that the path, that this is generally where people walk along in the area basically where we put it. We tried to coincide the path to be harmonious to everything that is at the park, and obviously we'll have access continuously. If anyone, there had been discussions about building somehow in the area of the easement. We couldn't do that because that would violate the easement, and if there ever had to be a need to get at underneath that, then the city would have access and be able to break apart that driveway and get to it, and that would all be at the owner expense. So with all of that, we respectfully submit, without regard to what this council does, that it looks at this proposal holistically in an area that is for the benefit of the community without cost to the taxpayers. And we appreciate everybody's attention.
Very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're happy to answer any questions as well, because I don't want to run away from that.
Okay, I was going to do public comment, but that's fine.
I
Go
just want to
ahead,
ask
Council.
a clarifying question, so it might come up. Is this an AI photo?
Well, Jenna Campbell did this photo, so I don't know if it's an AI photo. I think what happened is.
Arborvitaes are in the pathway, and I don't know if that was supposed to be that way, or if
I'm sorry.
the arborvitae's at the back.
Probably, so let me give you the background. We did the photo, and then, part of the discussion, and I think it was at Nick Schaefer's, or maybe your engineer's request, to put something in the middle of the pathway so that it would be clear that the driveways were separate. So we asked Jenna we added that little brick thing, and then, so this photograph is a rendering, and so we wouldn't block the path with trees. And so that's a mistake to the extent that it somehow shows trees on the path. That's not the intent. The path will go all the way back to the other paths.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I apologize for the confusion.
Councilmember Chang, you have a
We were
question?
debating whether I should ask. Sorry. Yes, I do welcome you to our city, and I find your proposal interesting, as I had said before. But the property you're speaking of, isn't it 50 feet by 165? Is that my understanding? Or 60 feet? Or what?
It's I defer.
1305 is mine.
No, but I mean, the size of the piece
Yeah,
of the
I
property.
believe the property itself is 50.
50 feet.
By 165. So it's about, what, an average lot? Isn't that close to what our lots are, or close to? I mean, what I'm asking is, how much is it worth, the property, if it was a lot?
It can't be.
Well, that's.
Well, no, but I'm saying, what is the property worth? Is there any value on it? Because how would we tax it unless we knew what it was valued at?
Well,
Does anybody know?
I certainly would defer to the folks from the city, for that. I don't think it could ever be a lot because we couldn't get to it.
Well, I didn't mean a lot, but I'm saying
Oh, I
that
get
you
it.
would go by hypothetically,
Sure.
what is it worth?
Yeah,
It seemed like these conversations and these meetings were quite in detail, and I wondered if you ever discussed what the property is worth if we're going to get taxes from it.
Yeah.
No, I
City
mean,
attorney.
that's for the assessors to do. But typically what would happen is, since this is just additional dirt, So when you have an assessment, the property there's two components to it. There's the dirt component and then there's the building component. And it's all, the assessor has that all calculated out. So I'm not gonna speak for them, but my guess would be that the increase of the dirt portion would go up just like what their dirt's worth now. Because it would be added to their
Yeah,
lot.
I was just saying, when he spoke of that as a plus, I just wondered if there was any way to quantify it. Thank you.
Anyone else? We can circle back and have more questions. We'll have the public come up
Sure,
and do
sure.
theirs. Thank
Thank you.
you. All right, so now we have opened the public hearing. So just one at a time, come on up, state your name, your address, and share your thoughts.
I am Tom Dykstra, 328 North Hill Circle. And first of all, I'm just a little disappointed that we all didn't get notice of this. You did the 300 feet thing, but this really impacts an entire neighborhood and subdivision. So we were all surprised to learn about this, and we've all been scrambling to come up with our comments and figure out how we feel. And I like the idea, but my concern is the path. Now, I'm a dog walker, and there are a lot of dog walkers that walk on Scott Street. And when we come upon each other, we usually have to separate. Because not all dogs get along. And having just a small, narrow pedestrian easement would bother me, rather than having the entire driveway be the pedestrian easement. It's just an option. I'm just throwing that out there. It just seems like it would be more logical for those of us who have used that for years, and my experience is like 12 years now or whatever, actually 25 years for walking up and down that street. Getting into Scott Street Park it would just be better for all of us. And I'm concerned about feeling welcome on that easement. Because we're all gonna know that it's private property. And I just am worried that we won't feel welcome, and I think there are ways to address that. And it could just be as easy as a sign which says pedestrian walkway to Scott Street Park. Right, that's just something that can be added in there. My other concern is, what are they gonna do with all the snow? If you put trees at the end of it, are they gonna plow all that snow out to Oak Street? Where's that snow gonna go? And then another concern, which I have just thought of this evening, is these owners are very willing, but what about the next owners? Can the city mandate that somebody care for a pedestrian walkway? It's an easement, but can the city mandate it you have to care for this, you have to maintain it at the same condition that the original owners put in? And I don't know the answer to that question, that's for the city to answer. And then my final thought is, you all know why the name, it's called Scott Street, right?
Lysander.
Yes, it was Lysander Woodward's daughter. She owned the northeast corner of the big square, Livernois to Rochester, Tinkin to University. And I would hate to lose her name for that street, even though most of us didn't know that's what it was. And so I don't know whether there's a way to put up a sign that says it's Emma Scott Walkway or whatever, as a means of honoring her. Scott Street Park will have to be renamed because it won't be Scott Street anymore. But I can see that as being an easy solution. We have to rename the park and remember who she is, because the DPW sits on her land. The parks sit on her land, what was her land, and my house sits on her land. So it's just, it would be good to go back into our history and recall her back into this history of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, my name is Jeff Franklin, 343 Linwood, Rochester. I also own a business in town. This project caught my attention because it certainly directly impacts all taxpayers within the community. It's important to note from a baseline, when you look at this Scott Street property or Scott Street Road, It is the one road in this city that's in absolute disrepair. It's a unique street in this city because it's the only street that services the two properties in question. If you turn on Scott Street right now, it means you've taken a wrong turn unless you live at one of those two properties. There's not a single road in the city right now that shares the characteristics of this particular stretch of road. So from my standpoint, the city's been extended an absolute gift by these two property owners. They're gonna privately fund a six-figure repair. They're gonna provide easement rights for the city, for both the utilities and the sidewalk. They're gonna pay increased tax assessments, and they're not gonna create any unique kind of precedent because, again, there's not another single piece of property in the city that shares the characteristics of this particular stretch of road. To approve this project is to save the city a big chunk of money. I know we're all talking about being fiscally responsible here. There are people in this room that are willing to take basically $100,000 plus off the city's budget to repair this road, which absolutely needs to be done. You also get those additional tax revenues. There's a new assessment. We don't know how much the values of these properties are going to go up, but they are certainly going to go up. We know that. So you don't have to pay for the road. The values of the properties go up. The city gets more money over time. Now, again, to reject this project, the city's got to repair this road. You look at the cost of what an average house pays in this city for tax revenue. Let's assume that an average house pays about $10,000 in taxes every year. That's 10, 15 houses. Their entire tax revenue is going towards fixing this street. Now, I don't think it's a positive in any way to tell everyone in the city, hey, look, you're going to have to pay to fix this street when you've got two people that are ready, willing, and able to do so at their cost. There's only positives with this project. There's not a single negative. I've heard some comments earlier about maintenance. Well, we all have sidewalks. We all have to shovel those sidewalks. We all have lawns. We all have to mow those lawns. What happens if we don't? We get tickets. We get notes on our door. I've got one before when there's an ice storm. The city has the ability to make sure that there's no blight on the property, that it gets maintained. It's going to stay that way. If it's not, the city has the right to enforce. Now, the task of the city here, and I think this is really important because this comes directly from the charter, is to fulfill your obligations for the benefit of the public and to put your subordinate interests behind. Now, I think that this project needs to be approved for any number of reasons. Again, this is something that you look at it, you saw the pictures. It's an eyesore right now. We talk about remembering people. We're not remembering anyone when we look at a piece of dirt that has gone into disrepair for God knows how many years. This is a beautiful project. It serves immense benefit to the city. It serves immense benefits to the residents. So why not approve it? It makes nothing but perfect sense to do so.
Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening. Ginger Kettleson, 1361 Axford Place. That's the little street at the end of North Hill Circle. I am opposed to this for several reasons. I've been educated tonight. I didn't know prior to this how much of the land that I, as a citizen of the city, gave away to people who, for whatever reason, asked for a gift and were given a gift. It surprised me. I thought, well, okay, if it's land that could be sold, that's a different story. But we're talking about giving to people for whatever good or bad reason they have, property that belongs to me. So that's one concern I have. I would agree with Mr. Dykstra that a lot of the welcoming would be easy to do and put some history and a name to the street, even if all it said was Scott Street. Most people don't even know what Scott Street is. So that's just a small aside. I'm concerned, again, about the long-term care. The two owners seem to have every idea that they will continue to upgrade and care for this land. That's all well and good. But what about the time when they leave those properties and someone else comes in? What are the ramifications there for caring for it. I think it is used. I think it's used a lot by pedestrians and bicycles. I think it's a good entrance to the recreational land area that's being so nicely developed there with the community gardens and the picnic areas and the Maple Grove and the very many things that have come in recently. I just think it should still remain a city road. I do think it's an interesting precedent, but I didn't realize there were 50 or 60 of these, so it's not a new precedent. But I thought, well, gee, maybe if this passes, I'll petition to ask for a gift of 25 to 50 feet more on my property, which abuts the Dinosaur Hill Trail, and it is in pretty bad shape. There's a lot of ragweed and debris that's not very attractive, and there's a lot of traffic that goes up and down from the nature center up to the top of Dinosaur Hill. I could fix that up and make it much nicer than it is now. Maybe I should ask for that, and I could get rid of the ragweed and the other pesky kinds of things that are there and put in something really classy. So those are some of my thoughts, and I just think I didn't know the city was in the business of giving away land that belongs to all the citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Connor McBride. I live at 233 North Hill Circle. I am in favor of this vacation. What drew me to it is what we're all looking at right now, and that is the end result. My wife and I and our dog, we walk that path very frequently, as the other residents have expressed, and it's not very welcoming right now. It's very dusty, it can get muddy, and it looks abandoned, frankly. So the fact that private residents will take it upon themselves to improve it and make it more welcoming to the neighborhood, I think is a win, and something that we are in favor of. My wife and I are also expecting our first child in November, and again, this is a common path that we use, and the way it's maintained right now is not favorable for a stroller. So the fact that there will be real pavement there and make it a much safer access point to the park is another added benefit. We use it very often too due to the traffic in front of the Mr. C's car wash. So sometimes we will go all the way to Woodward to get down to the park, but again, especially during the busier times of day, a lot of traffic for the car wash, so it is an ideal cut through to get to the park, but it's not ideal the way it's maintained. So we are in favor for not only the beautification, but we find it to be a much more practical access point to our normal walking trail and the park that we enjoy to use for our leisure.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up. Oops.
Hi, my name's John Woodward. I live at 136 Gray Street. Been there for over 30 years, same house. I walk through there all the time. And I would just as soon leave it the way it is. People have been saying it's an eyesore. It's fine with me. I don't mind it the way it is. That looks, to me, worse than the way it is now. There's too much gentrification going on in Rochester already, I think. Turning everything really fancy is not my idea of improvement. And like I say, I use it all the time, and some of the other people have said, you know, what about when people leave? And, you know, I've been here for 30 years. I see people come and go all the time in Rochester. It's a normal thing. Sell your house. And some of our neighbors have been great, some of them not so great. So, you know, you never know. So that's all I'd have to say, but thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name's John Brabs, and I'm at 523 Elizabeth Street. So I live a little ways away from that area, but I run by that area all the time, you know, especially when the bridge was out on the Paint Creek Trail. I was running through there all the time. I ride my bike in that area, and then in the wintertime, I'm on the roads around there all the time running. And I mean, from my perspective, I don't wanna see us give away our public land. You know, I like having our, you know, it being our land. And, you know, and if it needs to be fixed up a bit, I think that's good. But yeah, this, right now, this does not, to me, does not look like it's that welcoming. And right now, we have a whole street to go in and out of the park. And like today, I just ran through there, and to me, it, you know, it looked fine, you know. And I mean, if you're gonna do anything, you could build, when you get to the end of the street, you could build a trail to connect to the other trail. But again, I'm opposed to giving away our land rather than, you know, the city taking the responsibility. If it needs to be plowed in the winter, then yeah, then the city should be doing that. You know, like I said, I'd like to keep public land, you know, because again, I think like somebody else is saying that, you know, it seems like we've given away too much as it is already and should keep this. And if there needs to be some improvements made, do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wesley Jenks. I live at 336 Ferndale Ave. If you were the one taking this picture, you'd be standing directly in my driveway looking at Scott Street. So very familiar with this area, and I utilize it every single day. I actually met Patrick and Sandy when my son and I, my 2-year-old toddler, were playing over on Scott Street. I do commend Patrick, Sandy, and Betty for taking the time and providing this imagery to show that there would still be access. I still do have concerns about how much it has been narrowed. I would like to be able to enjoy the same amenities that we have today, the access, which although there is the sidewalk, it feels like we have been given a very narrow partition of land for public access versus the wide area that is currently there. I'm not inherently opposed to any aesthetic changes to the property, but I do have concerns about public access and the volume of public access. As others have stated, when those folks, you know, eventually move out, because I do have faith in Betty, I do have faith in Patrick and Sandy based on what they've explained here, that public access would be allowed. I'd like to get a little bit more information about how much of the driveway would be accessible. I want to be respectful to my neighbors, but I would also like to maintain the lifestyle we've become accustomed to living in the wonderful city of Rochester. So those are my concerns. I would be very grateful if they could be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to come up with public comment? Megan, is there anyone online?
Thank you. We have no one online.
Okay, so what time did you want to say? It's like
7:57.
Okay, 7:57, the public hearing is ended. Councilmember Hauser.
This is a question for Mr. City Attorney, and I'm going to make him go back to Property 101 class in law school. So
All right.
you could stand up for everyone. Mr. Craddock.
I did well in that class.
Yes, sure. We've heard a lot of talk about easements. Can you condense it and really distill what an easement is and how it would affect the parcel that's in question here?
Sure.
And specifically, future use when these two property owners no longer own this property.
Sure, an easement is an interest in land that would be in perpetuity to the benefit of who would be the grantee. The grantee would be the city of Rochester. And that would be for both the sidewalk as well as the utility easement. The utility easement would essentially, I think, go pretty close to the middle of that, and then the public sidewalk there. So this document, this is a giving up of some property rights that goes on forever until the benefited party does something different. So the city couldn't unilaterally lose the easement. It is a property right given. So they would have to, like a sidewalk, they would have to maintain it. That would be language in and an easement, so I know I heard concerns of, well, I want it maintained. Well, they would have to maintain it, I would suggest to a standard that everybody else's sidewalks would need to be maintained. The condition as well, the condition would have to be, if it starts crumbling on the edges or makes it unsafe, then, property owners, whether it's the cement one you see there or the new one that would be put in place, they would have an obligation to maintain that. So it doesn't matter who the owners are. It runs with the land is the language, so it goes with the land, so the sidewalk as well as they would be filed against both property owners. So that would be, it's a real interest.
Councilmember Trent?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So what is public access there? You're talking about a sidewalk and a driveway, and the sidewalk doesn't really look like it's sidewalk. It looks like asphalt. I don't know and it's very narrow. So what could I, if we approve this, could I, as a resident, walk on?
The sidewalk.
The black
part, yeah.
And that's it?
Yeah, because the other
But I
one,
mean,
the
the
other part
driveway.
is their driveway.
I gotcha. Okay, well, that is pretty narrow. How, is there like that's not a standard sidewalk width?
5 feet.
They haven't given dimensions. I mean, that would be part of,
Okay.
yeah. It would have to be the width of a
So,
city
can a sidewalk be anything, like width, or is it their standard?
Well, it's usually 5 feet is the standard for
Okay.
the city standard.
Well, thank you. So the other thing was, I was wondering about Betty's full property assessment. So if she's had property taxes from 1970, because I lived in a house that had property taxes from 1970, and they're very sweet price. And I just wondered, if she gets this 25 feet by 165, does that mean her whole property has to be reassessed?
No.
They
No,
will
it's
just add on to,
That's a great question. Great question. So the way it would work is under the property tax laws, you're capped at inflation every year. That's the general. But when you have, they would call it additions. So the value of the additional land would be in effect on her property taxes. So it's not a reassessment, it's not an uncapping, you've heard those terms before.
okay,
But
that's
this would
good to
just be
know
the
for her
addition
sake.
of land, of dirt, essentially to her property.
okay, thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Clauser?
I have a couple of questions, and apologies for not sending these in advance. I just thought of it when we saw your presentation that I don't think was in our materials, but you had said that the city and the applicant had met a few times to talk about all the options. And I think we also mentioned that in the last city council meeting is what are some of the other options? And so a couple of things that come to mind and questions, I think, for you, city attorney and city administrator is, if the main concern is maintenance or landscaping, can't we still have ownership but either license the property or permit landscaping or make an agreement with them on maintenance? I live on an alley and I'm just wondering, would I be able to have any kind of an agreement where we did our own plowing or something? I just feel like there's got to be something we can do besides vacate the property to work with the owners to make it better looking or maintained better.
Madam Mayor? So
sorry.
no, it's okay. So, I guess not knowing exactly the end game, why, I'm not sure they would beautify city property if they don't have control over it. But I do know that on occasion, there's been encroachments that I've been part of, that people have, wrongfully, not maliciously, but wrongfully have put in landscaping, and they said, well, we can make them rip it out, but there's a license agreement, I recall one scenario. But it would still be public land. So, if you're talking about, can they plant some flowers and bushes on city property? That would be up to the city. That would be up to the city
Yeah,
to allow that.
So that definitely happens, right? Because like I said, I live on basically the exact same thing, except ours is paved. We have three driveways that share it. And the actual city property goes into what I consider our backyard, our property, but it's not, it's city property, but we maintain it. I have flowers on it, right? I mow it, I weed whack it. We've never had a problem. I try to avoid the native plants. Yes, I'm being a good resident. Anyways, my point there is they could do the same thing, right? They could if they wanted to. But I know that if the city came and said, hey, we're ripping all this up, there's nothing I can do about it. I'd be like, well, there goes my native plants. But, so they could do it, so that's one thing. But then the other thing is, I'm also wondering, it feels like we can almost do anything if we put it in agreement or some kind of licensing. And I just feel like, why couldn't we work that out with them more legally probably than what we're doing today or something? And maybe we can't. But that was my question, because it just seemed like their options were considered.
You could enter a license agreement if, I guess from the city's perspective, the answer is yes. You could have a license agreement if you wanted to allow people to improve city property.
Yeah.
You could.
At your own risk.
We've done it on occasion with planters along restaurants, planter boxes, to some small, like along sidewalks.
Yeah.
But if the goal is to keep it as a road, then you'd be allowing people to improve a public roadway. That would be the difference.
Sorry, one more thought on that. It's not just because I heard the eyesore is one thing, so that, what we just talked about, but then the maintenance too. So is there any licensing or agreement we could do with them where they could maintain it? I don't know. Again, just throwing out options of, it was like your only option to vacate.
That's what the license agreement would do.
That's what it would do.
Yeah,
is
is
maintenance.
if both sides came together and said, hey, we want to be able to use the city right of way.
Yeah.
And for purpose X, here's what I want to do. I mean, an agreement could be drafted for that, for sure.
Councilmember Trent.
Yeah, so what I see is that DPW does need to improve the maintenance, obviously, and I've had to call to have my alley snow plowed, and over the years, just to remind them, that's not anything new. I also, my understanding, we have to maintain the right-of-way in front of our house. We get it mowed, and that's my understanding. That's how right-of-ways work. So if this is a road, you've got two sides that they have right-of-ways, and in our alley, we have beautified it as well. So that, to me, is things that could be worked out, and then I'm sorry that, to Betty, that she's been having this longer-term problem, but I do believe that we should improve the maintenance, yeah, I do, and I think we should work with the DPW to do that.
Councilmember Salvia.
Thank you. So I guess I want to thank Betty and, oh, my microphone's on. Thank you. I just want to thank Betty and Patrick and Sandy for bringing this opportunity before us. I've been on infrastructure for 9 years. I'm looking at the Paiser rating for all of the city streets. This was not on our radar, not even on our radar. It is on our radar now, and I feel like we owe you an improved area and improved service. We did discuss the cost. It would be $122,000 to do it. We did also discuss there are grant opportunities out there. We've been pretty good as a city at getting grant money for anything related to a park. We've got a pretty good track record there. It is significant to me that this is Scott Street, and when I stand on it, it feels like a city street. It feels like this connects to our park. I see the DPW building there. On the map, it shows it pretty much connecting, and, that's not how it is today, but that's what the map shows. In terms of this list that we just got tonight of 10 properties, I did a quick Google Maps. Again, this is the first we've had this information. None of these, to me, look like a city street. They look like maybe there were two driveways that abutted and there was a little space in between. We would have to research this to know, but I feel like this property is different. This is a city street to me. And I had one other comment. Lastly, we did put this notice in the newspaper, so I think we're really trying to make this public hearing very aware and public, so it was in the newspaper, and I know you get it, you put it on the stack, but if you read it right away, you'll know about these things.
I'm going to stick in a few things of my thoughts, building on what Councilmember Salvia said. I actually have lived here since 1974, and I own a house on 7th Street. And I was walking that path this morning with my dog. I go there quite often. I again apologize that that has not been kept up. We certainly have a commitment that it needs to be kept up, so that has not been handled correctly. I look at it, I'm spending a lot of time over there because I'm involved in the skate park, and we're going to call it South Street Skate Park because South Street enters that part of the park, which is Scott Park. So what I am struggling with is I kind of like that it's dirt. I kind of agree that I like that it's dirt. It's entering our park area, and I wouldn't be opposed to paving it, but it is a road. It is not an alley. It is a city road where we get state funds to maintain that city road. And I just am really struggling, as much as that is very beautiful. I can see cars parked there now, which is going to make it, I suppose cars can park there now, but they don't. Where I could see now, cars are going to park there. And so that makes pedestrian thoroughfare not the same. And all I see there is pedestrians on bikes and dogs. And I'm just struggling so much with taking property that is owned by all of the residents and making a decision to give it to 2 of the residents. It makes your property more valuable. You gain, I don't know if you mentioned, I thought it was 25 feet each. So eventually, a house could be built bigger because you have more property. I get that the easement could not be touched. I understand that. But if we set this precedent that we are giving public property, and the alleys I look at, as Councilmember Salvia said, differently. They were alleys. This is a street. And if we start giving streets to residents, I'm struggling. I'm just struggling with that. That speaking for all the residents, we represent everybody in this town. And to give it to 2 residents, I'm struggling with that. That's my piece. And Councilmember Hauser.
Sure.
Take it from here.
So, just to piggyback on what you're saying, Madam Mayor, so, if cars were to park there, they could park there now.
But they don't.
I know, but
Yeah.
hypothetically, they could. It's a street. They could
Right.
park in the street, and
Right.
if the idea is access, if it's a street, if we saw someone walking down Madison or Wilcox in the middle of the street, we would say, hey, use the sidewalk, and that's what the sidewalk is for. So I get it, and I see both sides, and the public has been very, I would say, even-handed with respect to their comments. I've got 5 people who have come and said, hey, we like it, and I've got 5 people who said that we oppose it, and I understand that both sides of the coin. I look at it more from an economic perspective, and that if we are going to improve this, which we have to, I just believe that the current condition of that road, frankly, is embarrassing, okay? And we owe it to the residents to improve it, because that road needs to be improved. And we have a number that says it's going to cost $122,000. And we have a proposal from some homeowners, some residents who are saying, hey, I'll spend that money out of my own pocket. I will continue to give access to the property or, to the park. It's an easement. It's going to run with the land. So any future homeowner has to abide by those rules. So no one's going to build a wall or a fence or obstruct access to that. I just think from an economic perspective, I don't think we're giving anything away. In fact, I think we're getting something. The consideration is that we're going to get an improvement for something that we don't have to pay for out of our own pocket, and nothing changes from an access perspective. So that's my view.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem? Oh, Councilmember King.
So I see the benefits financially to the city by this. I have gotten emails and talked to some friends in the area, and I understand the concerns about the access. I've talked to city attorney about how we can, I would want us as council, if we were to move forward with something, where we would actually I would want to review the agreements that stipulate what the easement is, what the sidewalk looks like, all of those things to make sure we'd be in agreement. But one of my concerns actually is if we leave it as Scott Street today, as a street, it is a street. There are 2 driveways. There's going to be increased, cars coming in. residents should not be walking down the middle of it. They've had the benefit of doing that because it's been pretty much abandoned. You know, you've got one person today using it, there's gonna be more. So you really shouldn't be using it as a walkway, it really should be a street for cars, and then you should have a sidewalk. We don't have that today. So I think if we were to keep it, then we need to take into consideration that it needs a sidewalk, and I think that changes the way residents would view it anyways. I don't think they should be in the middle of the road. You know, and I think the way it's handled today, it's not really much of a street, it's kind of just like this overgrown gravel path that, you know, goes to maybe one of the driveways, it doesn't even make it all the way back. Also, you know, when you go through there is no pathway at the back that connects it. So it's not really this huge grand entrance to the park. I get that people use it, and frankly, I've been through it too, so I do. But, you know, I think it would be better, whether it's owned by the city or by the residents, of having a true access for residents. I think that's most important. What I heard from people is they weren't necessarily objecting to somebody inheriting the property. What they were opposed to was, you know, losing access to the cut through there. I happen to live on Greg Street, not a beneficiary of a vacated alley. Many, you know, homes around us did benefit from the vacated alleys where the property was split and given to them. There's no use for the alleys, they're not, you know, so over time, that's what's happened. I think that's kind of natural. This is a unit of one in the city, so I don't think we have to worry about being a big concern. So I'm more entertaining the project. I still think there's some diligence work on that I would want to see before finalizing an approval. But I also, if the city felt really strongly that we're gonna spend the money, that's a lot of money, right? Like, I would consider something like that, but we have a very, you know, strong financial consideration here with a good proposal, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. First, I'd like to say sorry to Betty. I mean, we shouldn't, you know, we should have maintained it. You know, we didn't. Okay, now we all know, and now I think we will. I personally don't think we have to spend the $120,000 to pave it and do that. I mean, I think you can keep it kind of as it is. So I think maybe that number's a little too high. But I have a problem like the same everyone else is, you know, giving away a city street just doesn't seem like good policy to me. I mean, people know I've been here a long time. I've never seen this before. So this would be very hard for me to support. Thank you.
Do we want to make a motion, or? do you have
Well, I just had something to say. I do
Sure.
appreciate all
Councilmember
this.
Trent.
I appreciate all the public comments. I appreciate the property owners coming forth and telling us, you know, this needs to be improved. But vacating of public property is appropriate when that property no longer serves a public service. And what we're talking about isn't full public access. We're talking about narrowing down from 50 feet to 5. So we're literally giving 5 feet back to the public. It's a big no for me. The standard is not, simply, it's just not met here. The offer to improve the property and grant an easement is well-intentioned, but it would convert a public right into private property with a permission slip. We would be trading something we already own outright for something we have to negotiate and defend and have to be concerned about. I don't believe the council should approve this request, and I do believe we need to improve it. We need to improve it, and I'm sure we will. Thank you, and I'd like to make a motion.
I think Hauser has one more thing to say.
I have a question for the applicant, if that's possible. Is that something we could do? I have a question that I would like to ask, in a sense that, you know, we've talked about the public access and how it would be limited to that sidewalk. I'm wondering if the applicants, if any of our views would change, if the public access was the entire 50 feet, if it wasn't just that sidewalk. I'm just curious to know if that's something that would be considered by the applicant, and if it doesn't have to be just that sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't know that we're negotiating. I think it's just as it's presented. I don't know.
All right, that's fine.
I could be wrong.
I would.
So I guess what I need is a motion is there a motion to approve vacating Scott Street to the 2 residents? Is there a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Councilmember King makes a motion.
I'll support it.
Support. So this is a motion to approve. Okay, roll call. Oh,
Be fine.
sorry.
So I think the full motion, if there's a motion to approve it, would be to approve, or to pass, there's a resolution in the packet, would be to approve it subject to, because I've heard loud and clear that council, I mean, any agreement has to come, any easement has to come to city council. I mean, well, since it's giving it, it wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have to, but if there's a condition on it so that it would have to come back to city council to approve the easements that we're talking about, that would be a good addition. But you don't have to do that. You could do it subject to administration approval. You could have it come back to city council to review easements. But I would want you to address it in some fashion in the motion.
Okay, so the
My
motion.
motion would be for it to come to city council for approval.
So, no,
For-
for
of the-
just the easement.
for the
part.
easement,
So
yes.
this is approving to vacate it
Right.
to the two homeowners with the stipulation to come back to talk about the easement
That's right.
agreement.
And that would be, and we would reflect that in the resolution when it gets signed.
Roll call, please.
Jones,
No.
Vixen,
No.
Classer,
No.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
No.
Trump.
No.
So the motion
Fails.
fails. Sorry. All right, moving on, legislative deliberation, we have none. Reports and regular business. Okay,
There he is.
there he is. Hello, you came out of nowhere there.
Here's a
Hamstring must have.
Here's a ringing.
Consideration of a resolution for Sheriff Search and Rescue Team SSRT Chief George.
Scott.
Scott, I'm sorry.
Nothing to do with Scott Street.
Too
My
many-
name is Scott. I had to get
I
in there
didn't want to
somehow.
say. Thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing me the time this evening to present this to you. This is something that came across my desk about a month or so ago. Did not know that I needed to bring it to you guys to get approval, so it is here tonight for approval. What this is, it's an agreement with the Oakland County Sheriff's Search and Rescue operation. We already work alongside them for calls. It's their SSRT team. Any call in the county, whether it's for a dive rescue, missing person, we already called out for them and we already work with them for that case. What this resolution is it would put, at the current time, 2 of my employees on the team and actually be part of the SSR team. One right now is a full-time, one's a part-time member. The question was asked, what's that percentage of my department? It works out to about 6.25% of my department. So it's not a big number. It does not take precedence over Rochester Fire. Rochester Fire will always take precedence. If a call is here, they will stay here. If a call goes out and I don't have the manpower to send, I don't have to send them. There's no requirement, there's no time. They do get a lot of training from the Oakland County Sheriff, which they can then in part bring back to us to train our members. We can train alongside them. We can bring in the SSR team here to Rochester and train with us throughout the parks, throughout the trails that we have within Rochester. So nothing outside of the same thing we do with our hazmat team and our USAR team. They're part of the team. The real only costs.
We just are going to shut the door, sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're good. The only real cost is actual training time while they're there, which is again part of, same as our hazmat team, same as our search and rescue team. So nothing outside of the ordinary that we haven't done on other teams. This is a new agreement. It's not something we've had before for the county. So they're looking to have us to get more integrated into the team. That's what I'm here for tonight.
I know Councilmember Salvia sent earlier questions, which
She
you
did.
responded to all of us, so they did answer some, and we appreciate that. Councilmember King.
Sorry, I might have overlooked that, but I'm just curious, I didn't see in here, is there a number of hours that this they would be dedicated to the training? Do you have an idea of what that looks like?
There's a monthly training that they have to go to. Again, it's not mandatory. If they're on shift and I don't have the ability to send them, they don't have to go. They are just part of the team for that monthly training every month. It's something different. The SSRT goes on a lot of calls throughout the county, again, for missing persons, water rescues. And most of the guys, the two guys that are currently being appointed have majority of the training already. The SWIFT, water rescue and all that kind of stuff, so.
But how many hours would they be spending doing this versus working in Rochester, right? Because that comes
Sure.
down to the cost. I'm just curious
The
what that
training,
looks like.
Rico's here, it's like 3 or 4 hour training sessions is what it works out to.
Yeah, hi, Council. Yep. It's once a month, and it's usually like 3 to 4 hours. It's standard with our other county teams that we currently have. Some of our members are on like the chief said, our USAR team and our hazmat team. And that's about it. Like you said, if we're on shift and we're unable to go to it because of manpower, then obviously we wouldn't be going to that. So it's about 4 to 6 hours a month.
Thanks. Councilmember Clauser.
So just, kind of piggybacking on what Councilmember King just said, so we don't expect any overtime or backfill needs or anything like that for them to be away at training?
The overtime could come into play for a call if they go out on a call. But again, it's part of our mutual aid. We would probably be going anyways. It just depends if they're, on shift or not. So there is a potential for overtime, yes.
Okay, and one other thing regarding the cost, I saw a lot in there about liability, and so I'm wondering if this affects our insurance exposure, and if we have to change our,
They're covered by the county. When they're working for them, they are covered by the county's liabilities, not ours.
we don't have to change or buy
No.
more? Okay, thank you.
It's the same as for hazmat and USAR teams.
Councilmember South.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for answering those questions.
Yes.
And specifically, you also said that you would bring back kind of feedback after a year, like, how did this go? And that's, I think, important too for the
Correct.
public to know. City Attorney, have you reviewed this document?
Briefly, it's a fairly standard mutual aid type agreement. I didn't see anything that's offensive. I was just looking at the liability, and the chief answered that appropriately.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, and to me, this is an important opportunity for training and development for, our small-town team, to be engaged in the broader community. I think that's good, that's important. And so I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement for participation with Oakland County Sheriff's Office for Sheriff Search and Rescue Team. That's known as SSRT.
Motion by Salvia, support? Support by King? Roll call.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Clauser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, next, I think we have Nick Schaefer coming up, and this is consideration to award a bid to Superior Excavation for the installation of a storm sewer at the end of Drace in the amount of $34,496.
Yes,
You don't have the PowerPoint probably loaded.
I
It's
do
fine.
not have the PowerPoint.
That's okay.
But regarding
Can
to
we
Scott
take that
Street,
down?
we did put one estimate together as far as concrete, full curb. We'll put a couple more estimates together, whether it be asphalt or stone, and the sidewalk path to connect to it, so we have a few more options to kind of look at and go over, but I agree. Betty and Patrick and, new homeowners, they deserve better for sure, so.
Well, thank you.
We'll get that to you.
Thank you.
And get the maintenance, so. But yes, you see in the packet, we're looking for approval to install some drainage, stormwater drainage at the end of Dre Street. Currently, right now, there is no drainage there. It's designed to pretty much run at the dead end and make its way into the park. Doesn't do a very good job, and you see in the photos, it's a maintenance problem, not only for us, but for the residents, so. We are looking for approval for Superior Excavating to do the.
Is that the picture of it?
No.
Is this a picture of everything
in our packet.
I know. Yeah, I was just saying, I keep looking up there thinking.
He's going to take it down.
Jason's getting it.
Okay. I just didn't want people to think that that's what we were doing.
Yeah, if you go back to the agenda, actually, I don't know if we need to show that picture.
Yeah.
Just go to the, you can go to the agenda. Did everyone see the picture in the packet?
Yes, of course,
It was very explanatory of the need.
Yeah.
Yes. So does anyone have questions, or do you want to do a motion?
I would,
Oh, we got some motions. Okay.
I'll do a motion that we approve the request to, the bid from Superior Excavating in the amount of $34,495 for the stormwater work at the end of Dre Street.
Motion by Hauser and support by Clauser?
Yes, but I also have some questions.
Okay, so support
Just
by
real quick.
Clauser, and now any questions?
Just real quick, I did see that we only received one bid, and so I just wanted to check to make sure that we're comfortable with the outreach efforts we did and that staff believes it's reasonably priced for the project.
Yes, good question. We did reach out to 2 other contractors multiple times. Kind of disheartening, we didn't get anything back. And we have, working relationships, at least I do, prior communities with one of the vendors, so kind of unfortunate, but we did reach out and nothing back, so.
Councilmember Clauser, or Hauser?
That's a very good question, because at the Asset Committee, we talked about this, that
Yeah.
part of AEW's job as well is to check the price and make sure it conforms with industry standards and it's aligned with what they expected. So if that number wasn't correct, presumably AEW would have said, hey, that's way too much, let's think about another plan, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. I have one more.
Hauser or Clauser?
Sorry, your ask in the request in the memo was the $34,495, but AEW is recommending the $37,975.
That's the 10% contingency, yeah.
So for our motion, which one are we approving?
We'll add the 10% on, correct.
So it's the 37 that you want?
So you have to correct your motion.
Yes.
then.
Okay.
Is that
Certainly.
right? Or did you?
Yep, you're
Yeah.
correct.
You did, okay. So we're good? Do you have a question?
I have a question.
Okay, Councilmember John.
I just am curious, seeing I'm always interested in stormwater and how it drains. Has this been ongoing? Is it getting worse? I mean, is it, how does, you have different places in the city where it's flooding and you're keeping an eye on it, and these might pop up even more so to do something about it?
Yeah, it's been ongoing, and then you've seen the petition that Eric had sent and his family. That's another new development, a new home.
Okay.
So they're really front and center to it too. It's literally at the end of their driveway. Now after they built in their developments and in their new home, so that's why it's even gotten more eyes to it now, so.
One more question. So as new homes are built, they seem to be taking up more of the lot, so then you have more impervious surfaces. Do you see this continuing to happen? Like, as water has to go somewhere, and it looks like what you're saying is this can become more and more an issue as people like it first looking at it as a visionary as to,
As
what
far
are we
as
doing
Drace, no, because there's no drainage on Drace, meaning
Okay.
there's no catch basins. There's 2 that were put in by a prior developer, but not necessarily for Drace itself. The street's designed literally to just run all the way down the
Yeah.
road
Yeah, I
into the
gotcha.
park.
Okay.
Not the best design, not something we designed today. So as far as that new home and what they put in, unrelated to what's going on.
Okay.
They just get to unfortunately live with it.
Well, thank you.
Councilmember King.
Yeah, I was going to clarify, the home was built, I think, in 17 or 18, so it's been a number of years. No, maybe further than that, because we met them, we're friends. We met them
okay.
at the park years ago. So the home's been there for a while. And so this has been ongoing, because he has talked to me about it a few times, and raised the issue, and I said, you should talk to Nick and the city about what they can do, and DPW. I know they had asked actually originally for like a much potentially cheaper solution. They just wanted to trench the existing storm drain. Did we look at other engineering solutions? Because
We did.
Their reaction was like, that's a lot of money, and they're
Well,
asking for it, right?
Because
But
it's the best and the
it's
most
probably the
proper
right way to
fix.
do it.
We looked at it to essentially pretty much do what it's doing now, with build a channel
Mm-hmm.
to get it to drain. But we're still gonna have the same, we're gonna spend that money, maybe cut it in half and still potentially have the same issue. So we looked at it, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right and know that it's gonna surpass anything coming forward, so.
Okay, and I've seen the 2 homeowners on both sides out there, like with their shovels, and
Yeah.
they're digging the muck out. trying to get the water to
The
go.
pictures told, we're worth 1,000 words, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, we have a motion and we have support, and we need a roll call.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Clauser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
All right, Nick is going to stay up there, and we're going to talk about 2026-27 local and major road improvement projects. And you did go into detail in the packet. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, this is this year's local and major road projects. We're fortunate going into year 3 with Hutch Paving to hold their number, which is excellent. Anytime we can have a contractor going 3 years into holding their unit price. So we're looking to award that work with Hutch Paving. L. Anthony, he has a 1.5% increase. It's mainly just materials on his end. He did have a little upcharge last year, but if you see in the packet, he's still, back when he was bidded out 3 years ago, 25% under the next bidder. So as soon as we see that threshold kind of creep to that number, then we'll reset it. But at this point, these contractors, not only do they do good work, timely manner, and holding their prices, so we couldn't ask too much more from them. This year, we would be going into Great Oaks for the local roads, and then major for Runyon, so. L. Anthony's portion is $445,500. That would be for Great Oaks and Runyon, curb, gutter, and sidewalks. As far as Hutch Paving, his total is $887,304. That's Great Oaks and Runyon. So you put those two numbers together, and that's the total project for this year.
Councilmember Clausen.
Just a couple of questions. Can you, does this go through, do we have a committee for this?
Asset
And they're
management.
The asset
on board with this, they've already seen it, they've already vetted it, okay, that helps. Because I was gonna ask about kind of extending the existing contracts and if that represents better value than rebidding these projects, but I'm assuming that was talked about in
Yeah.
the committee.
All these projects go through asset, and I know, Ms. King, you've asked for a presentation to kind of explain how that committee works and how we come about these numbers in these projects. So I'll put something together for you and kind of show you how we get to where we are today with these projects.
That'd be great, and that kind of then plays off my next question, which was, how do we, I'm assuming there's a way that we prioritize the projects, and Great Oaks and Runyon were chosen for some kind of reason, and I see that the sidewalk repairs and the structure adjustments were chosen, and just wondering how those locations are identified, that kind of stuff. But it sounds like you might have that somewhere else, and we can.
One is, like Councilman Sylvia mentioned, their PASER rating.
Hers is laminated.
Yeah.
Mine is laminated.
She keeps it in her pocket.
Yes.
That's one method, and then obviously, between the city staff, just our eyes, right? We drive them, we're in them. There's not much better than your eye as far as being able to know what roads.
Resident
maybe
complaints, I'm sure.
It's definitely
It's a big
resident
part.
driven also too, so that's how we come about.
City manager, okay, go ahead. Councilmember Salvi.
Councilmember Clauser, if I could, you have the floor, but if I could add some color to that from the committee. So, we do have a capital improvement plan, which looks at all of our roads. We do our PASER ratings. Both of these roads rated very low. This was actually a 2, which is a 1 says just get rid of the whole road, it's that bad. So, this qualified there. And then the other thing we do is, what we talked about this year was, we start with how much money do we have, and then we looked at volume. Where do we get the biggest bang for our buck? And by completing Great Oaks and Runyon, that kind of completes a lot of our major thoroughfares. At the last meeting, we agreed to, what's the road that goes by?
Mill and Throw on,
By OPC, Letica. So, that's kind of set the pace for some of the priorities for this year. But, we always go back to the capital improvement plan. And then the last thing that really affected it this year was weather. We had a really bad, so you always got to look at weather. So just some additional color.
Can I ask
Yeah, of course,
Councilmember Salvia
yes.
one more question? So I assume these investments then keep us on pace with kind of our long-term road maintenance goals. And then are we seeing kind of our needs outpace the available funding that we have?
We need to allocate more money to roads,
Okay.
yes.
Actually, maybe
I see
city
everyone's in
manager
there.
can address
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
It's an unbelievable number.
It is. It's still, we throw around a number, and it's still true, $100 million in this whole town. So we try to pick off the worst as best. We try to go, the Paisley ratings have really helped us where there's a point where you can mill and fill and get maybe 5 to 8 years out of that to delay the inevitable. We used to do a lot of crack sealing, which is just keeping that water from going into the asphalt or the concrete that the frost pulls. But we also try to share the love. We've focused in the last year and a half on the east side. We spent a lot of money on those roads over there and curbs. So it was time to show the west side a little love. And we've been trying to do that for the last decade, try to split it up, east side, west side. Luckily, last year we did east side and the core because of the DDA's dollars. And we did almost every street in the DDA. So everything's done except for water and east because there's so much construction going on there now. We want to wait till that's done and then we'll take care of that. So we've done a really good job of spreading it out so neither side of town feels like, hey, I didn't get anything. And we were in the middle on Terry and some of those streets a few years ago. So we try to go through a cycle of spreading it out a bit. So if that helps.
Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, thanks for all the work that everyone's doing.
Councilmember King?
Thank you for including the maps. This was really helpful and, laying it out. We've been doing a lot of mill and fill, which is great because I think we're really being smart with city funding, and how we're caring for our roads. But my only concern, if they're extending the life by 5 to 8 years, are we gonna get to a point where instead of mill and fill, we have to do full reconstruction on every, road at that time? And how are we thinking about that? How are we balancing our funding and planning for those?
So that's a good question. We spread out the mill and fills, so they're not all going to hit at the same cycle. And it depends on wearing, how much traffic volume on some of the roads. The residential can last quite a long time. Nick, you experienced more than 5 to 8 years possibly,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Runyon's a little different, but.
It's a good question. As far as our roads and now being in the third community now, I've been in communities where you drive down a road and be like, wow, this road's just shot, right? Outside of Ironwood, we really don't have that road here, to where the guys are out and just cold patching. So to your point, yeah, there is some roads that will need a full reconstruct, but we're fortunate enough, as of right now, we can take those dollars and stretch them and mill and fill these roads and get 10, 15 plus years out of it, so.
That all makes sense? Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of info.
All great questions, and maybe too, real quick before, that presentation that you've been wanting, maybe we can, going in the next budget and maybe in the workshops might be the most ideal spot to do it.
I just was thinking that. I think it'd be good, because this is a big piece of how we spend our money.
Yeah.
So I think it would be important to share more details with everybody, because if you don't sit on asset, and if you don't sit on budget and finance, you're not privy to some of this.
Maybe we can take
So-
30 minutes in one of the workshops and
I
kind of
think
go
that
over
would be great.
how we get to where we go.
I think that's great. Yes. Councilmember.
How does this tie back to what we had budgeted? I know we put additional money towards roads. Can you tie this into what we had budgeted
Had
and
that
what's in
surplus- When we had that surplus.
in those funds?
Yeah, so we
This is
have.
more.
Correct, we had the, the Act 51 money that we get from the state, kind of like Senator Weber was speaking to, whether we have 500 to local, 300 to major, we put the additional 350 from the surplus into local roads. And then outside of what was left in major roads, we're able to do Runyon Road and have some left over to do Letica. So that surplus money is factored in, and that's how we came to that 1.3. Which this is right at the button.
Okay, and then does that take those fund balances to
We have
zero?
a little bit left over, not
Okay.
much.
We're within
policy. We're within policy.
All right.
Great questions. I guess we're looking for a motion.
Yep, I was just going to make a motion to approve award the paving projects to Hutch Paving, Curb and Gutter, and Ale Anthony Construction.
A motion
Does that cover it?
Is that the right motion?
Recuse myself. I don't know when to do it.
That covers it? Okay, motion by Salvi.
Yeah, you know what, I'm going to make a motion to allow Councilperson Trent to recuse herself due to a potential conflict.
Okay. Do we have to vote on that, correct? Do I have a second on that motion?
Second?
Second from Salvia, and we need a roll call.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Clouser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Okay, now we have Salvia's motion, we need a support, and a support by Hauser. And roll call on that.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Clouser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
She's recused.
Oh,
I'm recused.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. And now, discussion with John Jackson of McKenna on our next steps to complete the zoning districts proposed in the 2022 master plan, and introduction of our newly designed planner, Lori Morgan.
Thanks, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. Jeremy did a great job of teeing this up for us tonight. But I'm going to take it a little bit out of order and start with introducing Lori Morgan from our office, who's going to attempt to fill the shoes of Vidya, who you all know and love, who's serviced the city for years. And obviously, she'll be missed. She's focusing on family-related personal issues, and we obviously wish her all the best and appreciate all the contributions that she made here in Rochester and a number of other communities for us at McKenna. So she'll be missed. But we are proud to have Lori here with us. She's an accomplished planner. She has over 10 years of experience. Started at the bedrock of planning universities here in Michigan, Michigan State University, so schooled locally here. But she has a wide range of skills that we feel will be great for the city of Rochester. She understands the day-to-day planning and zoning that is so important to Rochester, customer service, helping make sure that new projects coming in achieve the quality that the city expects, so she understands that. She also has a broader perspective, doing a lot of master plan type work and larger policy work. So we're very happy to have Lori here with us, and feel free to ask any questions.
Welcome, Lori. I know those of us on Planning Commission have already worked with you a little bit, so we welcome you to Rochester. Does anyone? Councilmember Clouser.
Welcome. Nice to meet you. And happy retirement to Vidya. She was great. So wish her the best. I do have a question for Mr. Jackson. If you could speak to, just for transparency purposes, how Lori became our planner. Was she part of the McKenna team, or did you have to do interviews, and then was city administration, or were we involved at all in the choosing of the new planner?
I'm sorry, was the city involved in choosing the new planner? Well, basically, the way it worked is, we're always looking for great talent. That's what makes McKenna what it is. And so we don't wait until we need someone to bring a top talented person on board. So we were actually pretty fortunate that Lori started shortly before Vidya left, okay? So when Vidya announced that she was going to be leaving, we thought that Lori's skills would be a good fit for Vidya. For Rochester Hills. So we arranged a meeting. We met with Nick and Jeremy, introduced Lori. She came to a planning commission meeting, and that was basically the way we did the introductions. We didn't necessarily bring a range of people out to do introductions or anything like that. It was basically, we thought she'd be a good fit, brought her out to do the introductions, and so far it's gone pretty smoothly from what I understand with Nick and Jeremy and the planning commission, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Do you live in Rochester Hills? Or do
No.
you live local? No, okay, I thought for some reason you did.
Nope, I'm a bit of a drive, but happy to come over in this direction a couple times a month. So, but thanks everyone for the warm welcome that I've already received. I really do appreciate it, and the support from Jeremy and from Nick thus far. I really have enjoyed the work so far.
Awesome, wonderful. Welcome.
Thanks.
Okay.
Just
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I thought we were-
I wasn't.
Councilmember
I was slowly
King.
my arm up.
Yes.
I'm just curious, to learn more about your experience. Do you work with other surrounding communities in your job? Just examples of, the communities you work with?
Sure, since I started at McKenna, I just started in March, but some of the other communities that I'm most intimately involved with would be Adrian. They have a continuing services contract with us that just started, as well as Flat Rock, assisting with both the city and their downtown development authority. And then, we have an identified contact for each community, but we all assist as needed. So that's to Councilmember Clauser's question also, while there's one contact, it really is McKenna is your planner. So I've already brought in John or other staff members who are the most qualified with any given question. So those are to your question, those are my most dedicated communities, but I'm also assisting with Roseville but Rochester has been kind of the focus of my attention thus far, making sure that I'm up to track with everything. Vidya is really a force to be following behind, so making sure that I am making the correct decisions with everything and being consistent with how your zoning ordinance has been implemented thus far has been a dedicated effort.
Thank you.
Councilmember Trent.
Yeah, so it looks like that this is like the size of communities that you're used to working with, because our size is obviously has little different types of issues than others, like a bigger city, that's what I've learned.
Yeah, no, speaking to my sort of general career history, I started out in regional planning. So after attending Michigan State, I got my master's in urban planning at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I stayed and worked in regional government there for several years, again, sort of working in similarly sized communities, sort of well-established suburban feel almost, which I think, as you point out, does have a unique set of requirements. So actually I'm originally from Midland also, so the feel is very comfortable for me, and worked in that planning department in college. But rural and suburban communities do have their own set of unique needs and characteristics that actually has been what most of my career is focused on, away from larger communities. But after working in Illinois for a while, I then worked at it was an engineering firm, but had a large focus on doing similar continuing services planning work, working with primarily rural communities across Pennsylvania, focusing on the Pittsburgh area, and then also kind of the Harrisburg area to support that work. But so yes, most of my career has focused on mid to smaller communities and the unique requirements and needs.
Well, thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, I think that was the first piece of what we're discussing tonight, so thank you. Moving along.
Okay, let's see. As you may all recall, we were here back in September. Jeremy, there's two documents, are they both? Okay, let's start with that one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so we were here about 9 or 10 months ago last fall, and we'd gone through the process of reviewing the various zoning districts that were proposed to help implement the master plan. We spent a lot of time looking at the map itself, doing a lot of other miscellaneous cleanup, the schedule regulations, other things that permeated the zoning ordinance. So we had a full package, complete package, brought it to the city council, had a public hearing, had a lot of good comments and feedback, as we did at the planning commission meeting, to try to get that zoning map ironed out. We had, as you recall, we hosted some office hours here at City Hall to try to really hone that zoning map, to try to eliminate as much conflict as possible, get as much alignment with the future land use plan as possible. And we got pretty close. So then, after the public hearing with the city council, we came back and the council had asked us to investigate 4 or 5 specific issues and to do a deeper dive in some of those issues. And those issues included things like, okay, what does it mean for someone who wakes up after this is adopted and now has a non-conforming use? And so we said we would look at some special provisions, create a second category of non-conforming use to sort of more surgically handle those non-conforming uses. rather than the current provisions you had. Also, there was some desire to discuss the provisions of the third floor in the central business district. There was some concerns that that wasn't fully vetted. There were some specific questions about remaining regarding the zoning map and how was the decision made on these parcels differently from these parcels. Questions about front yard setbacks in multiple family districts and some other land use provisions for some very specific uses. And so at that time, when we came back to council, council said, you know, I think what we need is a study session. So we can all get very comfortable with the provisions that we're about to adopt because it's huge. Like I said, it permeates the zoning ordinance. It's going to have impacts on a lot of the property in the city, mostly non-residential, but some residential as well. And so the direction at that time was let's get a workshop on the books. And so here we are, looking to get a workshop on the books so that we can sort of really do the deep dive and make sure that you have satisfactory answers to each of those questions. And there may very well be more questions that come up, but we don't want to take this lightly. We want to give you guys all the time that you need to get comfortable with it. And so what I've done here at the bottom of the page is develop basically two options for a scheduled move forward. Whoa, Nellie.
What happened?
Yeah.
Important option.
You zoomed it up, which is
I
fine.
did, I
You
zoomed it
mean
up
it
so
this
everyone
time,
could see
right?
it. Wow, okay. So there's option one, which is if during the workshop study session that we have, there are some significant changes that the council wants to explore or get into, it's likely that this will have to go back to the planning commission for a public hearing. Okay? And I generally would lump those significant changes as changes to the zoning map itself. I think the individual standards and provisions, by and large, probably wouldn't necessitate going back to planning commission. But if there is something that does create, have implications, broad implications, I would also recommend it go back to planning commission for that. So if there are significant changes, it would have to go back to planning commission and another public hearing before it goes back to the city council, back through the process that we just recently went through. On the other hand, if it's minor changes and we talk it through and find out, there's good thought behind the recommended process and standards, then we can basically move the process forward by, I would still recommend we have another public hearing at council just so the public knows where we're at in this process. I think transparency, if I've learned nothing from this process, is critical to its success. So at a minimum, I think we need to have a public hearing again at council so everyone understands what's going on. Then the consideration, adoption, and it going into effect. So the process on the left, as you can see, you're probably looking at seven months to go through that process, I would say. Depending on how soon we can get it, the workshop scheduled. On the right, it's probably more of a four-month process.
My first thought, and this is just for the map, we're not talking the master plan process, which we have to begin fairly soon too, right?
This is, well,
Where are we in the master plan?
we haven't started that yet.
Right, okay.
So the zoning project includes the map, all the new districts that were created. So that's in your zoning ordinance, not just the map. So it's the map and the ordinance,
Okay.
both.
Okay.
And then the master plan will be a separate future endeavor.
I'm thinking that because this was August, and I don't know about everybody else, if they can pull up in there all that we discussed, we almost have to have that workshop, right?
That's
To
what,
decide.
step number one
Okay.
is get that puppy on the
So
books.
tonight, we couldn't say
Absolutely
major
not.
or minor?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, this is just you saying this is what the next steps could be
Yep,
after we have our workshop.
foreshadowing.
Does that make sense?
Foreshadowing, yes.
Right.
I think this is a great plan. Our issue in the past seemed to be
Are we
getting
to
us
vote on
all
this?
together.
Well, there's a
So-
lot going on at the time too, so
Yeah.
understandable.
Any questions? I mean, this makes sense, right?
if I may.
Yes, you may.
No, I think it makes perfect sense, and John, timeframe, I mean, obviously sooner the better, but if we're gonna have a realistic chance of trying to get this done by the end of the year, how soon do you need this workshop so we can really start to effectuate this? Don't say July 3rd either, because that's a Friday.
Well, you said by the end of the year,
Yeah.
that's 6 months. So
Right.
if it's option one, we're probably not gonna make it.
Right,
Option two, we have a chance.
okay.
Yep, but, to answer your question, July,
Right.
As soon as possible, sounds like. And I know it's travel time.
it's a tough time of year, I
It
get
is
it.
hard.
Yeah.
Councilmember
Well,
King, and then Clausen.
When do we start the new master plan process?
It goes, it's 27, isn't it?
Yeah, we just started at the end of 26.
We started 26 for it to be implemented in 27, so probably,
Like now.
Okay,
yeah,
because
towards the end of the year.
I know McKenna came in partway through the last one, and it was a different planner that created all these new zoning districts.
No.
Yeah, so
They did
the way it
master
kind of
plan.
worked is that we did a master plan probably 10, 15 years ago, which is what the new zoning districts were based on. Then another firm came in and did an update to the master plan.
Never
And
got implemented.
so since then, we've tried to sort of finesse the districts that were created prior to your last master plan to closely align with your new master plan, if that makes any
They
sense at
did
all.
the zoning map and then a master plan.
So we've had two new sets of zoning districts, neither have been adopted?
Yes.
Well,
One.
I'd say one set of districts that have been somewhat tweaked since the last master plan, but you're right, they've never been
No map.
adopted.
No map.
Okay.
2014.
Closet.
So I agree with the plan here. I think a workshop would be an appropriate next step. I would recommend, and maybe it was already planned, but city council and planning commission workshop together, because I think we have a lot of new planning commissioners. We have a lot of, well, not a lot of new city council members, but I just think there's a lot of context there, obviously, even with the questions we're asking right now, that we just need to all level set again on where we're at. And then, so that would be my recommendation for the workshop. And then first, to me, I think, we need to finish this work. We have a master plan, a zoning ordinance, a zoning map that have not been fully aligned for years. And that creates confusion for residents, for developers, for our planning commissioners, staff, and council. And I think the longer we delay, the longer these inconsistencies remain. And I just feel like I need to say that. And then second, I also think we owe it to ourselves and the community to honestly reflect on how we got here and what we do differently next time. If we're about to embark on this process all over again, like we've got maybe even like a separate workshop to talk about just process and like how we do this better, because whatever we did last time was not right. So those are just my comments. But I appreciate this, that in bringing it up and keeping us moving forward. We have to get it done, so thank you.
Councilmember Trent.
Totally agree, we need to get this done. I've been around a few years as well, and I know everyone up here agrees with that as well. So whether we are going somewhere or not, I hope that we will put our nose to the grindstone in July and get this done. It's been 8 months, just the last time we talked about it, so I like your plan. And I do think we need to fix this before we embark on a new master plan. It just doesn't make sense to just go, well, that didn't work very well, so let's start all with a whole new idea, because we still have the same issues to discuss.
Makes sense.
Councilmember Salvia.
Thank you. Just one thought that I wanted to bring up. We've talked at previous meetings about concerns about, I'll say, legislative overreach from the state, if they change everything on us and take away our local control. And I understand the hesitancy to just want to wait on that, but I don't feel like we should be waiting on that. I think we need to move forward. We need to get this implemented. We need to have a clean lay of the land to know where we're at, so then we can logically decide what do we do next with the master plan. Like, we don't even know where we're at right now.
I agree with all of that, and I actually thank you for bringing this to our agenda, because it might have been another month or another month, it was easy to, I think, set this aside because we're dealing with all kinds of other things going on. So it sounds like we will leave this with, Megan last time sent out a little doodle poll or whatever to get us together and set up that meeting. City Attorney.
And just, I know John and Lori will hit this for sure, but when you talk about the new master plan coming up, just know that there's no requirement to amend it. The 5-year that we talk about, that's to review it, to see if
Okay.
you need to do it. I just want to kind of, you don't have to go through the entire
Start from
code like
scratch,
you're
right.
just trying to implement now. And to be honest, you could even go through some cities, when they go through the master plan process, they'll actually pick like an area to focus on, if there's a hot area that you're doing. So just think that when you get this done, don't think that, oh my word, we have to change everything all over again. The requirement is to review it to see if you wanted to make changes, and you can do subsets of the master plan. So I mean, I don't know if you have anything but it doesn't have to be as monumental as what you have been going through.
That's a great point. We worked with Nick and Jeremy to come up with a work plan as part of the annual planning report for the city. And it suggests some very specific areas to focus on the master plan, not an overhaul by any stretch of the imagination. The framework is good in place, and it will be solidified once we get these zoning provisions in place. But some things came up at the end of this process that suggested there are areas in the city that may need to be looked at as part of the next master plan project, sub-area.
All right, so I guess we will commit to you. I know Megan is online listening, and so to get out some dates, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible.
And that includes planning commission?
That's
Yeah.
the choice of everyone. Yeah.
No,
Is
It
that
makes
good?
sense. It
That
makes
makes
sense, I think, yeah.
A couple of us
I think so.
are double
That's
duty
great.
on that anyway, so, okay.
That's great.
Good.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
More people to schedule.
That's the problem.
We're
In
going
the
to have to
summer.
really focus on this.
We're gonna pick a date that we can get.
And just the
90%.
most, yeah. Thank you.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate you
much.
coming and welcome.
Thank you. Nice
Absolutely.
to meet you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, mayoral appointments to the Historical Commission. I missed this last time, and I think it's because I was coughing. So I completely missed Tim Petro, and I would like to appoint him to the Historical Commission. It is a new application, and so I need a motion. Am I the motion? I'm appointing
You
him.
nominate, and so you're asking council to approve your nomination.
Support. Do
Yes.
they have to actually do that with a motion? Okay, so I need a motion to support.
I'll make a motion to approve Tim Petro for Historical Commission.
And support? Support by King. Okay, roll call.
Jones,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Clauser,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Salvia,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
All right, moving on to reports from the various boards and commissions. So we have a lot tonight, so we're all going to kind of consolidate our reports. And I am going to start with City Beautiful and Councilmember Clauser.
I'll hit on just the highlights. So the CBC put in a new rain garden. It's, and Nick, you correct me, jump in here. It's by the new playground, the Kiwanis Playground in front of there. And there is 2 Michigan holly bushes, which should be very nice throughout the seasons. And then Wednesday, they're finalizing the nature sound amplifier plans with the Eagle Scout, but that is still on track to get done this summer.
Oh, good.
Very good.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes,
So
of course.
Pat Kane came in
Oh, yeah.
and made a presentation. She's been collecting these tiles from this very famous tile maker, and they're all nature related. So she donated like 350 of these tiles and wanted to get them out of her basement, but wanted them respected. And her thought was, give them to CBC, let them sell them, keep the money. When we all saw them, it's like, whoa, we could do something with these. So a lot are fishing related, so we've got them over at the yard. The guys are gonna make like a totem pole and put it by the fish bench, by the waterfall, and we're gonna display these tiles. They're gorgeous.
Oh, my goodness.
So, thank you, Pat, for that, and, so we did that at that meeting too, so.
I love that. I'm excited about that. Okay, Retirement Board, Councilmember Hauser.
Sure. I can update very briefly. The OPEB trust outperformed its benchmark in the first quarter and year-to-date through April 30th. The pension trust outperformed its benchmark in the first quarter and year-to-date through April 30th. Since inception, the OPEB trust has outperformed its benchmark with less risk. And since inception, the pension trust has outperformed its benchmark with similar risk. Both plans are compliant with no investment policy violations and no state law violations, and the next meeting is scheduled for August 12th. All are invited.
Thank you. Sustainability Committee, Councilmember Trent.
Yes, we met on May 18th of last month, and we met with Rob Harper, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it this evening. He is representative of My Green Michigan, who will be providing the compost bins that we've now found a place, and I know Colin Pettit was telling me they found a good place, Nick Schaefer, to put the bins. And we are going to have them open to the public. We're working on the rollout of that. And Rob Harper sent an updated cost estimate to us that clarified some of our questions. And we want to say that the Rain Smart grant for rain gardens and rain barrels is still open from Oakland County. And I don't have that URL, but you can Google it and you can find it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Pain Creek Trailways Commission, Councilmember King.
Yeah, a couple of things. Our bike patroller will be back out here soon, if he's not already. One thing I thought was cool, the DIA Inside Out program will be providing 2 pieces of artwork at the Gallagher and Flagstar Bank connectors. They should be out already. That was, I think, end of May or so it was coming out.
They are up.
They're out?
Yep.
Okay. And then the Eastport Village development, which I think is in Lake Orion and Lake Orion Township, they will need an easement, a temporary and then also a permanent easement for like utility access. It's a development that's along the trail. It is under engineering review. It'll come back to the planning, or the Paint Creek Trailways Commission for eventual approval of those easements.
Awesome.
I think that's about it.
Awesome. Asset Committee, Councilmember Salvia.
Yep, we've actually approved everything that we've talked about there. I will add 2 comments, though, that we are having a follow-up meeting with the Water Resource Commission with Schaefer and Asil, reviewing the meter data. So our discussion on stormwater rates, sewer rates, so that we're having this week, this Friday. And then also, speaking of non-city-owned roads, Miller Street, the group of HOAs that own that street, they are starting the reconstruction on it, so that's exciting.
It's very exciting over there, yeah. Okay, DDA, Councilmember Clauser.
Yeah, I'll hit on 2 things. The Graham, it is still on track to be completed by the end of September. I have a list of, I think, 35 bullets that Mr. Giovanelli sent me on things that I'm not going to read. But there's a lot of work getting done, and I think there's some facade work that'll be coming to Planning Commission. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But Nick, I don't know if there's anything else out of the 35 bullets. Okay. Next item that I think is super exciting is, I don't know if everyone saw, the Beat Club that the DDA announced. So this is a program for kids, and it helps them explore, I'm looking for the details, helps them explore meet the farmers at the market and explore new fruits and vegetables, and it's free. They can register online. They get a backpack, they get a passport, they get $5 in what they're calling birdie bucks, and they can use those $5 to buy different things at the farmers market, and then throughout the summer, there'll be special activities like jump rope contests and stuff where they can earn more farmers market bucks. So it's pretty cool. And then Christy did say within the first 48 hours, we registered 250 kids for the Beat Club. And then they reordered more supplies and reopened registration yesterday. And they've already had 131 new registrations on top of that. So it seems to be a hit, and it's great. Super supportive of the program and healthy food for our kids. So great. It's great.
Love that.
Beet, like
Beet, yes, if you
Like
beet.
Red beet.
Yes, and if you've seen it, it's this cute little beet with
She's got no skirt on, I think.
We've got a mascot. Yeah, that's great.
She's got her hair in a bow.
It's a girl.
Yeah, it's a girl. Sister City, Councilmember Trent.
Yes, June 2nd, the Sister City Committee met in Rochester Hills, and we met with Brett Quidquit from Priority Waste. He told us that Priority Waste has undergone significant leadership changes, including a new CEO, Aaron Johnson, formerly of Waste Management, and a new VP of Sales. A private equity firm has purchased them and acquired controlling interest and is injecting $150 million, and they're paying off all debts. So they will have 91 new trucks are on order, and 2 have already arrived so far. They are going to have cart delivery of approximately 13,000 carts, and they have, the company was roughly 10,000 behind on deliveries, and now down to 5,000. So they're going to get up to speed on that with 8 new delivery drivers are currently in training. So everything's going to improve if anybody was having any problems with Priority Waste. Rochester uses manual pickup, and Rochester uses automated carts. They also offer door side service available for seniors or residents with mobility limitations upon request. I don't know if anybody knew that. And then they have event boxes for events. 65-gallon cardboard recyclable are available for community events with about a month's notice. And trash only and recycle stickers can be provided. They talked about recycling education. A group discussed contamination, an ongoing problem of contamination is as few as 4 households out of 20 can contaminate an entire truckload, sending it to a landfill. They're offering a tour to city council members at the GFL mixed recycling facility called MRF in Pontiac, and it was proposed. So Brett offered to connect the group with Victoria Trapani, a Priority employee who provides recycling education for schools and community groups. And we mentioned that Rochester is going to do organic composting. We just spoke about that through their sustainability committee. They say they will not be offering organic composting because they already offer yard waste and recycling. I tried to make it short.
It's a lot.
Did you guys want to? I love talking about trash.
Did you see one of their trucks had turned over on Orion Road and closed Orion Road for quite a while last week? Yeah.
So what are the new ones?
Hopefully not.
Okay, I have got Raya, really quick. This time of year, basically what we focus on is voting in the new board members for the e-board, as well as voting on a budget, although we had to punt it because there were some questions and the treasurer was not there. We are really happy with our youth council. We now have replaced, they were all seniors, and so we have 1 or 2 from each high school representing. They did a lot of great work last year. And the final thing is this Saturday at the public library is the nonprofit fair, which started a few years ago, and it's tied into, I believe, the reading program for the summer starts. And so you go in to that little community area, and they have a lot of the nonprofits in Rochester. You go from table to table and find out what they're doing. ZBA, Councilmember King. Or Nick, either one.
I'll do it.
I wasn't non-voting except for one because somebody had to abstain.
Yeah, Bill had to
So I
abstain.
apologize.
I'll kick it to Nick.
No, Sarah jumped right in. It was great. So that's a unique board. So the first time since I've been here 18 years, we had 4 cases on one night. And Sarah walked right into it, but you did great. So first one was the substation on Miller Street. It's a gas regulator station. I had gone to the planning commission, needed a waiver of, they wanted an 8-foot wall instead of a 6-foot wall to keep, believe it or not, to keep the deer out and keep people out. It's 8 feet is substantially proven to be more successful than 6 feet. Front fence that's open so that people can see in there. Neighbors all work together with consumers to work on the type of fence and the height. So that did get passed unanimously. That was great. And then we had we had two garage issues where they were similar. One was tear down an old garage that was 3 feet off the property line. He did a great job of presenting his information. And I should say, for the first time since I've been here, the last zoning board meeting, one of the commissioners asked me, why does staff make a recommendation? And it's because we get paid to do our job. I've been doing this literally for 40 years in my other community here, and they want staff recommendation. His argument was, if we ever wanted to go against you, then we're going to be in court, and it's a potential conflict. True, never happened in 40 years, but true. So I didn't make a recommendation this time, first time ever. I just gave findings of fact and left it up to the board to make their own decisions. They have to make sure, because that is the court, that's the record for the court, that meeting. Nothing else can be added, subtracted, it's whatever they do. So we made sure if they were going to prove they have good reasons, they outline them. You have some very smart zoning board members that grabbed onto it quick. So it was kind of different for me, a lot easier, quite frankly, but it worked out. So one garage, he was tearing down his garage. He was at a 3-foot minimum, like all the garages in Rochester basically are at 3 foot on the side yard. That's how it was. And then the planning commission changed it to 5 feet because of one case long time ago, probably 6 years ago, which made every garage basically non-conforming. So he wanted to build it right back at 3 feet. He had room in his backyard to move it over to 5 feet, and the zoning board took a hard line and said, we can't see a hardship. There's only, they would need a unanimous vote to do that. So we got him to not recuse himself, to take back his request so they wouldn't have any prejudice against him. So he's going to move it over to 5 feet. If we ever change the ordinance back to 3, he could add on to it. So he withdrew his request. The other one was a little bit different. It was another garage request, and that one was approved. And is that right? Oh, yeah, and then Alpine Dentistry is at the corner of Helen and University. They have a little 3 identification tenant sign. Alpine's on there. You can't even see it. There's no driveway to get into it until you get to Stutz. So a lot of their patrons come down, see the sign, where do I turn, panic. If you don't make it at the light, you go too far. You have to turn around. So the board granted them a second sign in the building that just says Alpine Dentistry. It's under the allowable square footage by significant. They're still at 50% of what they could. Across the street, for the same reason, we approved 4 signs on the building and a ground sign, so the precedent was set. So they were also granted. That's it.
Wow, okay.
I would just add, Nick, that other garage, the reason it was approved is because the property sits on a hill, on the bottom of a hill, and the grade of the backyard made it impossible for a driveway to be back there.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk on that. So that's right across from Paul Haig's house, and they had really good argument that you couldn't come in off the side yard. You had to come in off the front, and you couldn't dig into the hill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Historical Commission, we spent a lot of time talking about the Heritage Festival, which I know one of you will recap how wonderful it all turned out. They did talk about the event we did at the cemetery with the marker. There was 175 attendees, so that was extremely successful. They talked about the museum and the Graham and working on topics to tie in with all of that. Founder's Day next year is going to be March 21st. They are very good at their planning. And they talked a little bit about the Harrison Building, the 501 Building, the old admin building, whatever you want to call it. It is going out to bid at the end of this month. That's that.
Okay.
Okay, I've got Hauser, Planning Commission.
You got it. Okay, thank you, Mayor. There were a few projects that evening. One of them was the Albertson project, this new development that's over on Albertson back here. Lots of comments from the public. The proposed developer is going to be performing a traffic study and analysis. They will be coming back to Planning Commission. My understanding is probably in August. And because it's a special project, it ultimately will come back, actually it will come before City Council for final approval. Miller Road, what Nick was just talking about, the Planning Commission approved that site plan, some modifications. 136 Walnut, that's the development right behind, or proposed development that would go right behind Tula Rue there. There's several deficiencies, and I think the general consensus was that was a project that probably wasn't necessarily ready for site plan review. The developer went back and is going to update and modify his plans and come back at a future meeting. The Graham, they were there, the PC Planning Commission granted a motion to set the public hearing for a facade modification. Then there was a 419 South Main Street. We set a public hearing for parking in lieu. And then at the conclusion of that meeting, there's a couple updates that we want to give to council as a whole. We have spoken about and discussed that there's a special, or certain subcommittees that have been formed, some special committees. I'm happy to report that the bylaws, Mayor Jones, myself, Dan Bachman, and Rich Kenzik, have completed our revisions and updates to the bylaws. They were submitted, or they were going to be submitted to Jeff, the city attorney, to McKenna, city administration, for their review and input, and depending on what they say, they may have to have some further modifications or edits, but that's certainly moving in the right direction. We are also, and I know the mayor's been behind this pretty significantly, onboarding and training for new and current members of the Planning Commission. There was an email that was sent out to all Planning Commission members about updating and getting on board for the training. And then the Design Standards Special Committee, they're continuing their review and discussions. My understanding is that subcommittee is going to take a little bit longer than the bylaws. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of considerations. So I would kind of brace everyone for impact that it might not be until early 2027 before we see something substantive on that. And that's my Planning Commission update.
Wow.
Question. Do those bylaws come before council, or are we just given a copy? What's the process?
The idea,
The city attorney, I don't know, do you know? I don't.
I'm gonna, well, Jeff, do you know? I have an idea.
Since they were around from 1986 or something.
Yeah, they were old, so.
It is, I would say it's a PC, keep it there, but they would send it to city council for sure.
But not necessarily approval.
I don't know what the precedent is for that here, but, I mean, it makes some sense both ways. Like, I could see both ways, city council, if they don't like the process. I know they're going through and developing rules and procedures. I haven't looked at to see if it's something that city council, I think they should look at or not. But if it's that substantial, then maybe that's already the plan.
My view candidly would be to distribute copies of all the amendments and changes to city council so they could have eyes on them and provide comments.
To put them through
Yeah,
the same.
absolutely.
No,
I
to put
want-
them through the same pain.
Yes, yeah. Complete transparency, so you see what was changed and what was, added or deleted, so there's consensus, because many of us came from planning commission, so we might have some insight as well. So I'm perfectly fine with distributing copies of the amendments to everyone on city council. As soon as we get, after review from McKenna, they're gone, and Jeff and Nick and Jeremy, of course.
Because we also feel like this is something we need to move forward with, maybe with even city council
Yeah.
bylaws. So I think it would be good to see the process we went through kind of as the test case.
Yeah.
And then there might be some other zoning or whatever we decide, we might
Right.
be able to look at theirs too. So, good question.
Any other questions on planning? No? Okay.
Okay, OPC, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, first the board voted on the resident and non-resident policy to keep the policy the same for 2026 and to have administration gather data to continue to look at that issue. We had a presentation of the budget. The budget looks very strong. We're spending a bunch of money on infrastructure, but keeping a strong fund balance. We're going to have a public hearing on June 25th. And then it will come to the three communities. I think it comes to Rochester in August. So we will have a presentation and vote on that. Just want to real quick point out the summer soiree is June 19th. Tickets are still available to support Meals on Wheels. So there's a band and all kinds of good stuff. And then one little fun fact about Meals on Wheels. We've had we just passed, there's been 2,800,000 meals prepared and served since we moved to the new building.
Awesome. Wow. It's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles, yeah.
Doing it on my bike. But I think our whole community should be proud of that.
Oh, my gosh,
Because
yeah.
one, it's meals, two, it's a social interaction.
Right.
And it's
Wellness
very
check.
important, so
Wellness checks, yeah.
that's all I have.
Wonderful, thank you. Budget and Finance, I believe that Councilmember Trent's going to do that one.
Yes, there are two, one on May 29th, and this one, we discussed the budget calendar and committee logistics. The committee reviewed an upcoming budget calendar, made SWOT revisions, discussed how SWOT should be handled going forward, and we set the Budget and Finance Committee schedule and coordinated meetings with department heads because of the questions that people had about the department heads' goals and objectives. We discussed setting up times to meet with them to come in and talk to Budget and Finance. At the same time, that morning, the fire chief came and spoke to us about the fire truck and the need for $2.4 million. So at this point, that's a moot point. So I will just go on to the meeting two, where the police chief Rohib came and he spoke to us about the goals and objectives that he had, and he talked about that the current fleet has 4 Ford Explorers, typical police car, lasts about 6 years. They try to get as much as they can out of each car, and they plan to transition half the fleet to Tahoes. He said on the personnel and budget, he talked about personnel and budget outlook. He said technology is in good shape. Upcoming retirements are reviewed, project budget reviewed through 2029. And then equipment and facilities, he said the redaction software is now in place. He said the police department building still needs improvement, hasn't changed his mind on that one. More space will be needing to be required. He said tasers are aging and may need replacement, and that EMD software has been purchased. And they have 6 full-time dispatchers, and he says that's sufficient. And the live 911 equipment provides instant response capability. And overall, the police department is in good shape. That's that.
Perfect. All right, that is all of the reports. Is there any public comment? Megan, anyone online?
Thank you. We have no one online.
All right, Mayor, well, no, start down here. City Clerk?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to include a elections update section in the manager's report, probably starting this week. So, keep an eye on that for any kind of key updates. And then as it gets closer to those specific events, I'll announce them publicly as well. And then if you have any questions, obviously feel free to email me. So, thank you.
City Manager?
Yeah, piggybacking off of Brian, if you notice, the manager's report's getting longer, so Jason Warner does a report. Now Dave Bigsby, our code enforcement officer, he's going to do a monthly report for you. Brian's got one. They're coming from all over, so it's become a really good way to share information. I appreciate it. And I just want to thank staff. Last couple of weeks between the Heritage Days and this weekend, Chief George, I think, never left here, between all the runs and the bark and the brews and all that. So staff's been getting at it pretty hard. Carl finally took a vacation, so our parks guy. So he's taken off for like 2 weeks to go with his family on a trek. So appreciate everything that the staff's done. It's been a couple tough weekends, but all going well.
Can you just take a few more minutes about the new enforcement officer? Like, how has that been going?
Yeah, it's been going great. So Dave Bigsby, so I'll eventually get him here, or he'll just meet you all, but he has been wonderful. He's got such a good response from the folks. He's given me a report. He jumped in. He's an ex-police officer. He's used to paperwork. He understands process. He worked as the code enforcement support at his last job in Fraser as a police officer, and he was a ranking, I believe he was a sergeant. So he's been soft hands going out. We haven't had anybody that he's had to have a confrontation with enough to get to court. He's issued, I think, 13 letters already, got compliance on all 13. He's got a great personality. He's an imposing gentleman, wearing a uniform, and he goes around. Nothing's below him. He's out picking up signs from A1 painting to pull your stumps. He just jumped in. His office is here. Jason Warner went over to the yard. So he's got his office there, and Jason comes back at, 3:30, and he's over here with us. And then David took Jason's office. So he's here with staff. he's known Rose and Randy for a really long time in Fraser. So Rose has been great, helping to train him on the BSNA. He flipped the whole process from what John Shep, Chief Cecil were doing with John Shep's help, and I really appreciate what John helped him, over to BSNA. So we're in one spot now. So anybody calls, you can get anything you want, code-wise, anything on the property. He did it all in a month. He's just been great. So couldn't be happier. He works 3 days a week. He's got to keep it at 1,520, 30 hours a week. He doesn't need the benefits. He has it in his pension. So he'll work a little bit more in the summer. In the winter, not so much probably, because he still wants to have a presence. He's met businesses all over town. So happy. Another great add to the staff. So.
Wonderful, thank you for that. City Attorney.
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I just wanted to tell that the Paint Creek Trail is open and the bridge is open. I didn't realize the bridge was going to fall down until tonight. But it looks nice, and I've made it across a few times, so that's a good thing. So thank you to Jason for getting that going. And I just want to thank the police for their open house. When I was there, it was packed, a lot of kids there. They had I thought it was fun to see the horses from the county. They showed up, they weren't going to come, and then they came at the last minute, and they actually said now they're going to start patrolling the trail. So that's going to start this weekend. So thank you to the police. That's it.
Councilmember Trent.
Yes, I'd like to thank the city for their support for the Heritage Festival, and Councilmember Salvia's leading that as well. And it was a great success. I think that I know it was well attended. I worked at the Dowdo's American Revolution Liberty Garden tent. So I wanted to thank the DPW and Parks for all the work that they do. Also, there was, maybe some people didn't know, and I was sorry, it was at the same time that the police department open house. Was that the same time? Yeah. No, that was River Days. Oops.
Saturday.
I wanted Saturday. Okay. Then there was River Days. That was well attended at Dinosaur Hill. So I was there with a tabling event, and over 125 families came. And also on then Sunday was the mini forest tour. It started at 10 a.m. at the Rochester Mini Forest. Councilmember Salvia attended. We had about a dozen or so. They made the trek from, because most of them were from south of here, and there were 5 mini forests that were on the tour. And so we were the first, and then it was Sterling Heights, Warren, and 2 in Detroit. I wanted to thank Barbara Lucas from Ann Arbor, who is now was headed or helped plant part of the 2 pocket forests in Ann Arbor, and they have a website, pocketforest.org. I want to thank the DPW and Colin Pettick for getting the sign up, so we were all looking good, and I had a handout and a speech ready for them, and it was very exciting. They're really interesting to see those different forests, many forests going on in southeast Michigan, and more are coming.
Councilmember Hauser.
Sure, just very quickly, the Heritage Days was fantastic. Again, Jessica, you did a fantastic job with the baseball team, and Marilyn, I saw you dressed up in your normal street clothes. Let's see, at the 10.
Yeah.
But and Nancy was there in the car show. Everything was absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping that we can find a way to continue to do that for many, many years in the future. Thank you.
Councilmember Salve, building on the Heritage Days.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay on the Heritage Festival campaign. I'd like to thank whoever prayed for the weather. It was perfect. Councilmember Klauser, I think you called it a Norman Rockwell painting. It did. We felt like a Norman Rockwell painting. It was beautiful. And I do hope we continue to, the weekend after Memorial Day, let's continue it, a city-led event. I do want to thank the DDA, especially Christy, with what she's gone through this spring with staffing, and she never complained. She just kept smiling, and it was a great event. So just thank you to everybody, and let's talk about what we do next year. Couple other thoughts that I wanted to share. One was that recently learned that the population in Rochester has declined. So there was a research report that came out, which was an update from 2020 to 2025, and our population declined not significantly, 197 people, or 1.5%. But I think that's important to keep in mind with all of our thoughts and about development and affordable housing, and we actually, our numbers went down. So just a fact. Also wanted to comment that the Griffey Cottage, the historic marker, was dedicated on Sunday. Megan was there. She may comment on it as well, but that was very exciting for Julie Johnson and the family, and that's one of 2 that we have in the city. So I don't know. I think we can incorporate those in Heritage Days in the future. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember King.
Nothing to add tonight.
Councilmember Cloud.
Yeah, adding on, first of all, there's a million things going on right now, which I think is amazing and what makes our community so special. I think the only thing we didn't hit on was OPC's Meal on Wheels 5K. That was fantastic, and anytime I can shout out Meals on Wheels, I like to, because it is such an amazing organization. So that was a great event. OPC did great. And then I wanted to say thank you to the Heritage Festival, too. I was on the committee this year, and it was great. I was trying to think of who to thank, but there's so many people involved in making that successful, from Pat McKay to the DPW to the Heritage or Historical Commission. But Christy was a big part of it for sure, and then Marcy. Marcy's our Assistant Deputy Treasurer Finance, and she did so much to make that happen. Between her and Christy, they were like the brains and wheels and operating behind it. So just huge shout out to Marcy and Christy. It was one of my favorite events. I feel like I've tried to go to every event at some point, and maybe it was the weather, I don't know. It was just perfect small town charm. The hot dog contest, if people didn't go to that, it was 30 minutes, probably too long, but it was disgusting and awesome all at the same time. So yeah, the whole thing was just great, so thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome. I just 2 quick things. I'm the liaison with RCS, and Jessica was involved in this too. We had a health and wellness fair on May 2nd, and it was extremely successful. We kind of had a meeting last week to kind of go how we can make it better. I'm just shouting it out because we're going to do it again next year, I think on May 1st. There were 300 attendees. The county was there giving vaccines. There was a blood drive, and it was very well attended, and next year we want to bring in more people in the community to support that. And then the other thing is the skate park. I have to talk about the skate park. So as everybody knows, it is not open, but the skaters think it is open. So they've gone through the fence, and that brought joy to all of us to see them out there skating. I have to just do a great shout out to the company we use, Spawn Ranch, and their workers were absolutely incredible. They got done faster than anticipated, and Vaughn and Linda kept them with donuts and bagels, and I actually made cookies one day. And as we went the last day to do the checkoff list and to say goodbye, basically, as I was walking away, one of the workers yells, "We don't want to leave." He's like, "We love Rochester." And I mean, they really loved Rochester. And I think that's why they worked so hard, and they got done, and we're very excited about it. They've now started the entrance. That's what's missing, so the signs are a little more adamant that we are not open for business yet. But Frank Rewald is starting tomorrow. With the concrete. And so then we've got to do some seating and grass, and we got picnic tables and benches and things that still have to happen. So we're kind of looking at the second week of July. I'm going to give you a definite number so you can put it down the end of this week for the ribbon cutting. And Linda wants food trucks there, and Tony Hawk gave her a skateboard to give away. And so I think it's going to be like an unusual ribbon cutting. But thank you to Jason and Nick, and especially Jason Warner. He might get the gold star. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm saying we're going to give him the gold star. The work he has done on this and the changes and the blips we've had and whatever, he's been amazing. He's been a rock. And then just finally, the DPW in general. Like, I had goosebumps walking through the park this morning because it's so vibrant. It's like the energy, people are coming in, and it's looking good. And, you know, I know the summer help is mowing the lawn and doing stuff, and we appreciate the park so much. So thanks for all you do there, and that's it. I already asked for online. Are we done? Yeah, Megan, is there anyone online, or do you want to say anything, Megan?
We have no one online. I just want to say congratulations to Julia Johnson and her family. Graffiti Cottage is only the second home in Rochester to receive that designation, so congrats to her.
And thanks for all you did for that. So I can't read the clock, but I think it's 9:43. Meeting adjourned, 9:43.
So Marilyn LaJuice is composting.
We got through.
She has through. Have you been to LaJuice? The new.
Yeah, right over on the little, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you have to go.
Yeah, it's
I know.
all lemons, yeah, it's
You're gonna
cool.
stop another day.
Composting.
Right next to recipes.
Right next to recipes.
Yeah.
She,
I was like,
everything is
oh,
all
birthday
in.
parties and
She's
Oh,
all
I'm not
in.
gonna go to that because I'm gonna be out of town.
Like,
They have this,
you're getting the award.